Hello, guys, and welcome back to another exciting show. We are back here once again and going to the throwback. Got the old set in the background here. It's been a while since we've seen that. It's been a while since we've seen you guys. Last time we were on here, it was about a 3 hour long event going on election night, which was an exciting night for not only myself but for a lot of other people. Well, some people, and but that night, I guess I kind of was off my rocker a little bit, kind of still stunned a little bit. So, tonight will be a little bit more fun, maybe. Energetic. Been a lot of things happen in the last couple of weeks, and we look forward to diving into that and seeing how things go. Trying to think. First of all, let's bring. How you doing, Matthew?
I'm good. I'm very good. You said you were a little bit taken back by the victory. Well, I was 100% sure with what I told you that night. I told you that states were being called early in favor of Donald Trump, but yet the media didn't call them until kind of 11 or 12 at night. But what we found out was Donald Trump won in a landslide, and we haven't seen a woman get beat that bad since the Olympic Games.
That's true. That's
And,
true.
there's been a lot of developments that have taken place. You've got issues such as right now the Ukraine Russian conflict that is escalating every single day. And, there's some issues that we can talk about there. Donald Trump has kind of put his pieces to the puzzle together with his appointments for his executive departments. And some of those are extremely important for disclosure, but also I look at you and tell you some of them have me kind of scratching my head saying, why did he pick that person? But I told you Donald Trump is very, very good at what he does because sometimes he puts you out in the forefront because he needs to expose you for who you are and what you are to help fulfill the plan that he has for America. But, it's going to be an exciting transition to the Trump administration. We know that Donald Trump and Joe Biden have already met, and it was a smooth transition. You know, uh, I've never seen a president more happy to see Donald Trump than Joe Biden. You could tell that he was excited, and it almost kind of gave you the illusion that old Joe might have cast a vote in favor of Donald Trump that night just so he could get back at Kamala for what she did to him and getting him off the ballot.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't really doubt in my mind that would have been a really good possibility because Jill Biden, Joe's wife, actually went to vote that day with a red dress on.
Well, Joe Rogan has came out and stated, Joe Rogan, who has his own podcast and millions of people follow him and watch him. Trump went on there, and I think Trump was able to kind of make amends with independents um, in the previous election. Joe Biden. Joe Biden won the independents by 9%. Well, Donald Trump won the independent vote by +11 in the 2024 election. So, he made amends there. He got a lot of the minority vote. I know a lot of people I talked about on this show. I said that Donald Trump would win a lot of the minority vote because people could resonate with Donald Trump. They were fed up, and that being said, Joe Rogan has basically came out and stated that he's about 100% certain that Joe Biden voted for Donald Trump as well as Jill Biden because of the events that transpired. Joe Biden received 81 million votes, Mike. You want him on that ballot because he's the most popular presidential candidate in the history of the United States, but yet you remove him because he's not mentally capable or competent to be president, and you replace him with someone that basically didn't do their job for 3.5 years, sat back and allowed the border to be basically unpatrolled, allowed mass immigration, a mass invasion, allowed fentanyl to come across. You've allowed people that are dangerous to come into this country. You've seen, what's her name, Lincoln or Lakin?
Laken Riley.
The death of Laken Riley has brought that to the forefront. And I'm going to tell you, I don't know if you know this or not, but some states have taken the initiative. They've passed laws now that if you commit a crime as an illegal alien coming in this country towards an American, you will face the death penalty. So I mean, there is a lot of transition that's going to take place, but there's still a lot of disclosure things that I think are going to happen that haven't happened that will happen before the inauguration, and we'll see what transpires.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think the next probably about 59 days now. I think yesterday was 60 maybe or somewhere in that range. So it's going to be interesting. Let's see. Before we dive into it here, I know there was a few things I wanted to say. What were some of the announcements? Oh well, anyway, Kentucky 54, Jackson State 30 at the half. I go ahead. Want to say hi to Kenny Prater, Victoria. Hello, Victoria Patrick. And then David asked there about the water thing. We'll dive into that shortly. But another announcement I wanted to make for we're going to have a surprise for you guys here tonight. It's something you guys are really really going to enjoy. That'll be coming up in just a matter of minutes, so you definitely will not want to miss that. You'll know what I'm talking about when you see it. I promise you that. But you will not want to miss that. And he's like, "Oh my God, what will this be?" Also wanted to announce that in the next couple of weeks that I have been asked to join Sports Talk with Joseph out of Carter County, out of Olive Hill. And, wanted to partner up with that and do a sports talk show on a weekly basis. So we'll be doing that coming up pretty soon. As for what David was talking about with the water company, of course, the last time, we mentioned the water company, we had been hit with a 26% increase, I do believe. And, since that, that has pretty much been moved to a 41% increase. Now, what I haven't been able to understand is that a 41% increase that they initially asked for that goes with the 26%, or is that another 41% added on to the 26? So, David mentioned.
When's it supposed to start?
Well, that's what I figured. Maybe start in January because the other one, or December, could start in December. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if John's on here tonight. If John's on here tonight, maybe he could clarify that for us because I'm not really quite sure. But
don't jump on John. It wasn't.
Yeah, no. That's what David said. He feels for the new board members up there, and I do too, or even the employees that are currently up there because they're catching the brunt of the heat from that. And like I said the last time, it is not their fault. I'll just go out on a limb because everybody else is scared to do it. I'm not, but JWS has basically become a commissioner, I guess you can say, in Frankfort. And so once he was appointed to that, all of a sudden your 26% increase went to 41% increase. So basically the way I look at it is, call the PSE, call Frankfort, call my good buddy Andy Bashir, call whoever you want to call, give them a call, complain about this, let your voices be heard. You see it's happened before in Morgan County. It's happened with the water company. It's happened with school board elections, when your voices are heard. Kenny Prater, was it Kenny? I want to think it was Kenny I was talking about. Let's see here. Kenny, was it you that I saw that you're? Yeah, okay, I see it on here now. I had saw a post on your, where Kenny was talking about his water, and he had a picture of it, and it almost looked like milk, which mine looked like that after they ran the new line up 191. It doesn't look like that now, but he said he was the only person that lived up his road that had that, in that nature, and wonder why they went with 41 after they decided. Like I said, David, I believe that's a JWS situation. I believe, that's just a way to basically, just a way to make Morgan County be punished. I think that's a way to punish Morgan County, a way to say, you don't do things the way that you need to, and, all this other thing. I know that the water board, the water board, they didn't even have a chance to vote on that. It was just like, hey, we're just going to sign it and we're pushing it through. It's like, my goodness, you don't even give the board members an opportunity to even talk about it up there. But I don't know. Your throat must be dry already over there. And, we'll have to see if Mark can hook us up here in just a second. Hook us up.
Oh, you guys want to try this?
Mm-hmm. Where'd you go, Mark?
Trying to poison us.
No. He's got.
Trying to poison us
No,
already.
we need some candy. We need some candy.
Oh,
You're in the way.
holy Mother Mary of God.
Man, he grabbed it so quickly.
I told you I had a surprise for you. Oh my God. Oh my God. That's bad.
It gets better. Melina said it gets better. She did try it the other day. Yeah, man.
That's terrible.
Of course, I had to do that too.
God almighty, Mike. Look.
Is it worse than the hot wings?
Yes. Yes. Lord have mercy.
Speaking of the hot wings, we're not going to do it again. But I was at Giovanni's last weekend, and Walker wants to know when we're coming to do the pizza challenge.
Lord have mercy.
Matthew said any day other than this stuff.
I'm going to be honest with you. This is supposed to be one of the most sour pieces of candy in the
I'm
world.
going to tell you something. It's pretty sour. It's pretty sour. Yeah, I'm going to set that right there.
Hey, it's actually kind of went away now.
No.
We need all that chocolate stuff off
Anyway. But yeah.
That's bad. That's bad. That's bad.
Oh, man. Where I live at now, the rent is like $1,800 for one bedroom apartment, not to mention the utility bills. Can't wait for the year to come. Hopefully prices just to live will go down.
Who's this?
This is Victoria Lynn Patrick. She did live up in northern Kentucky. I'm not. She can confirm if she still lives in that area.
Lord, y'all trying to kill me.
Yeah, David, I agree. The new board members, they need to have a chance, be able. Damn. And hey, once you get that top layer off, it ain't bad. It's pretty rough there in the beginning.
Do you want this?
What is that? Mint?
He ain't gonna eat nothing you hand him now.
Yeah, trying to kill me.
That's watermelon that I gave you.
She says she lives about 5 minutes from downtown Cincinnati, so yes, she's still up in that area. So I mean, that's crazy. $1,800 for one bedroom apartment. But David was talking about giving the new board a chance. I mean, I agree with that. I mean, I think should give them an opportunity to see, what they could do up there. I mean, hopefully that don't become a trend, like a yearly trend. Is like, hey, we're just going to continue to. Your water bill ain't high enough, so we're going to make sure everybody pays $100 a month, or everybody pays $150, or whatever. And that goes.
Well, it's a direct result, and I'm not trying to place the blame on anybody, but it's a direct result of some mismanagement.
Very big mismanagement.
And you've got an issue where you have a company that's basically not got paid for several years, and as a result of that, I'm not saying that the citizens did anything wrong. They probably didn't do anything wrong, but because of mismanagement of funds, therefore, that company has to be paid, and somebody has to fit that bill. And the consumer gets hit the hardest. It's kind of like inflation. You look at inflation, you think inflation is it's not a tax. It's a tax that you don't see, but it's there. When you talk about prices, go to the store, you're accustomed to buying eggs very, very cheap, and then all of a sudden they're $7 to $8 a carton. A box of cereals, $10.
Right.
A 12-pack of pop that you could get. At one time, IGA had them. You could get 3 for 11 or 4 for 10 sometimes. The days of that are very, very rare and far and few between right now until we can get back economically on our feet. We can do something about the housing market. We can do something about the stability of the stock market, as well as we can do something about these rising costs. Stop mismanagement of funds. We keep spending all this money on stuff, Mike, that don't need to be spent on. And one of the things that Donald Trump has promised, and he is a man that when he promises something, promises are going to be fulfilled. One of those is the Department of Government Efficiency called DOGE. That is going to be led by Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy.
Ramaswamy, yeah.
And, you say, well, what are they going to do? Well, I can tell you exactly what they're going to do. They're going to dismantle government bureaucracy. That's the first thing they're going to do. Second thing they're going to do is they're going to slash excess regulations on certain goods. The third thing they're going to do is they're going to cut wasteful expenditures on the part of your government. Let me give you an example, Mike. I wrote down about 15. I want you to listen close to these. Our government appropriated $500,000 for a study to see if taking a selfie of yourself while smiling will make you happy. $500,000 of government, I'm sorry, let me back up. $500,000 of taxpayers' funds are going to determine if you take a selfie of yourself while smiling, will it make you happy?
I got $500,000 to make me happy.
That's what I got. $500,000 to make me happy. You can go further. Our government appropriated $3 million for a study to see if humans would eat ants to prevent climate change. Did you hear that? $3 million of government inefficiency to determine if human beings would eat ants to prevent climate change. Now, I'm a firm believer, and like I said, I'm at the point now, Mike, where really I don't care if I make people mad or not. Climate change is a hoax. It's a hoax. I'm just telling you right now. The water levels since Plymouth Rock was founded way back in the day by the Puritans is still at the same water level today as it was back in the 1600s. The same water level at the Statue of Liberty is the same that it was when the Statue of Liberty was erected in the New York Harbor. What I'm gonna look at you and tell you is climate change on the part of certain particular parties is nothing more than a money laundering scheme. There is no such thing. The earth is heating up. Well, when I was growing up, it was about an ice age. We're all going to freeze to death. Well, hell, we went 10
out there right now, but
we went 10 years and it didn't happen, so they had to shift their gears a little bit, and now it's climate change with the greenhouse gases are causing the earth to heat up faster than we want it to.
Did
and
they call it global cooling then?
yeah,
Now it's global warming.
I mean, so they just keep changing their focus to get more and more and more and more and more money. Okay. Well, my question is, if climate change is such a big major issue in the world, why is China the number one consumer and consumer of coal? They burn more coal than anybody in the world. And those people over there are not dying of smog and air pollution and all that stuff. So I just think climate hoax is something that it's more of a money laundering scheme. I'm going to go further,
so
Mike,
what you're telling me
what I'm telling you is
is you think you're a conspiracy theorist.
I'm all right with that. You can call me whatever the hell you want to call me. I don't care. Okay? The government appropriated $1.55 million to study lizards walking on a treadmill. Are you listening to me? $1.55 million. Let's go further.
Hell,
The
they'd
government.
pay me, I'd walk on the treadmill.
Okay, another government inefficiency is $659 billion in national debt in interest, because we keep printing all this what? Money for what apparent reason? Okay, I'm not done. $60 million for Egyptian tourism. For Egyptian tourism in a bill. What the hell does Egyptian tourism have to do with America? Okay, yeah, we probably need economic alliances with Egypt, but we're giving $60 million of taxpayers' money for tourism there when we could be better served for people that have lost their homes in the hurricane that hit the Carolinas and Georgia.
Well, that's what
I
I was
mean, I
getting
can
ready to
go
say.
on and on and on.
I was getting ready to say, do you give a damn what's going on in Egypt?
I don't give a rat's ass what's going on. In Egypt.
Exactly. I don't.
Excuse my language, but I don't really
No,
care.
I like that language.
Okay,
That's how
okay,
you
give
get
you
viewers.
more. $33 million was appropriated by the federal government for trans monkey research. Did you hear that? Trans monkey research. What in the world are we thinking?
That's our tax money.
That's tax money. Okay, I'm gonna go further. $200 million for struggling musicians. $200 million was appropriated for struggling musicians. Okay.
Maybe they should just quit singing. or
Okay,
playing
I'll
or
give you
whatever
another
they
one. I'm gonna
do.
give you more. Unknown cost of dog walking research. We don't know what the cost of that is. They're doing a study on dog walking research. Let's go further, Mike. The National Institute of Health spent $3 million for a hamster fight club. Hamster
Well,
fight
no,
club.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm pretty big in the hamster fight club. I mean,
$3 million. The National Institute of Health spent $1.1 million training mice how to binge drink alcohol. Okay, so what have you got here? You've got wasteful expenditures on the part of your government. I'm not done. Okay.
I mean, good God.
That-
Money for these. That's crazy.
That'd be your legislature. The National Institute of Health spent $2 million testing if hot tubs can lower stress levels.
If what?
Hot tubs could lower stress levels.
I can tell you
Well,
that's
I
a
don't
given.
know. I
That's
don't
a
know.
given.
I don't know about the money, but now I know a hot tub pretty nice. All right, I don't
Okay,
got one, but
let's go further. The National Institutes of Health spent $500,000, Mike, to determine on a study on pigeons playing slot machines. Pigeons.
I saw some crows do some pretty impressive things.
Okay, I'm not done. Government spent $1 million to study racial aggression using mice.
Are mice racist?
It just keeps getting
I don't
better.
know. Government spent $400 million on planting trees in New York City.
You all, I mean, how can they look? Where's the list of this that just everyday citizens who pay taxes can look at this?
It gets even better. The NIA spent $1.3 million on a study to verify that if you hear bad news, it reduces happiness levels.
They had to do a study to know
They
that?
did a study.
Common sense. Oh my, no. Well,
Okay. The United States aid spent $88 million of taxpayers' money to give Afghanistan farmers irrigation systems that were left unused. $88 million for irrigation systems that weren't even used over there. The Department of Defense spent $250 million to build a border wall in Africa and in the Middle East. Did you hear what I just said? $250 million, but yet we would not build a border wall. Where? Here in the United States. 2.3 million of our taxpayer dollars was used to inject 6-month-old beagle puppies with cocaine. Did you hear that? $2.3 million.
Does PETA know about that? Because I mean, they're on everything else. I don't understand how PETA allowed that.
So what I'm going to tell you is Donald Trump has created the Department of Government Efficiency for one reason: stop wasteful spending. If we're not spending all this money on nonsense, taxpayers' dollars is going for practical purposes. We don't build up the national debt. We can somehow try to alleviate it over time and hopefully one day get to the point where we got our head above water and we can survive again. All you got to do is look all that up. It is right there for you to see. I sent you a picture today, and that picture is this picture right here. Look, read that, Mike.
Did you know our government spent $118,000 to study where Marvel movie villain, how do you say that? Thanos would really be able to snap his fingers while wearing the Infinity Gauntlet.
You hear that? That shows you what's going on in this country right now. And it's been going on for years. Taxpayer dollars are not being appropriated for taxpayer practical purposes. As a result of that, we are suffering outstanding soaring inflation. And it's about time that somebody clean the mess up. So I say, drain the swamp, baby. Drain it. Drain them in Washington. Drain them at the state level. Drain them at the local level. Get rid of all of them. If they don't have the taxpayers' minds or purpose at stake, get rid of them.
I like the way you think. Even if you are going to train pigeons to play slot machines. But that's the dumbest. I thought it was bad enough we was sending stuff to Egypt. But the gay mice and
The racist mice.
the racist mice and all the other stuff, I'm like,
And people are going to say, you made all that up. No, it's right there for you to find.
Why would you want to make
No, what it tells you is our government misuses taxpayer dollars.
Who doesn't know that you get unhappy when given bad news? I
I tell you what, you put me in a hot tub and my happiness level is probably going to go. My stress level's going to drop. I mean, hell.
well, that one was common sense, yeah, but the racist mice, I'm not quite sure
So
about that.
the Department of
And
Government
then the
Efficiency
fighting hamsters or whatever
is going to restructure what we would call federal agencies that have an enormous amount of power, what we call regulatory commissions like the FCC, the FDA, USDA, CDC. All of those are going to get restructured. And what I mean by restructured is they're going to serve the practical purpose of the citizen. And if you don't serve the practical purpose of the citizen, then you're probably not going to be around. Right now, here in America, they are scared to death of one of Donald Trump's appointments, and that is he appointed RFK Jr. as.
I'm so ready for that.
He's coming, baby.
He's gonna clean up our food. We're gonna have a lot of unhappy people.
He appointed.
there goes your sugar.
Okay, he appointed him as what?
Cheetos are gone. Doritos are gone.
He is the something of health.
Oh, he is the Secretary of the Department of Health and Human Services, which is going to clean up additives that are added.
Which, have you seen the guy? I mean, this was their Department of Health in 2021. This is their Department of Health in 2025. I mean, this guy's probably got to be what, in his 60s, maybe early 70s, and hell, I don't even look like that.
Well,
now, but,
the one thing I'm going to tell you about America is, and people can go back and look, and they're going to say, "Well, you probably shouldn't say this." I'm going to say it anyway. I don't care. Michelle Obama, her main purpose was to try to make sure that Americans ate healthier. Most kids hate school lunch. Why?
Oh, I've seen pictures.
because it freaking sucks.
Because they don't.
But actually,
Now I'm going to say something.
If the kids only knew that you can duct tape a banana to a wall and make $6.2 million, they'd probably be doing that.
But you don't allow kids to have access to salt at schools, and you take away certain additives and things of that nature. It's basically created a situation where kids are malnourished. They're not getting the proper nutrition. You take a kid that's an athlete, there's no way you can maintain your weight and be athletic and participate in sports eating a school breakfast and a school lunch. And it's not nothing against schools. I'm just saying they have to follow federal regulations, and those regulations come down and say they can't do this stuff. And what we've done is, let's go back 25 years ago. Most people were cornbread fed. Okay, baby. That's right. Cornbread fed. Most of them worked on a farm. Most kids had a lot of testosterone. What's happened to testosterone? What's happened to testosterone? What's happened to testosterone levels? They've declined, and as a result of that, you've got a weakened down society. Give you another example. Donald Trump made an appointment this week that he was going to name Pete Hegseth as the Department Secretary of the Defense, and he is a big proponent of eliminating what's called DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. And he wants the military to be more militarily prepared.
So Matt
Hold on a
Walsh,
minute. Who's over what for DEI?
Pete Hegseth.
Pete Hegseth.
So Donald Trump's administration is encouraging.
And what they're
DEI?
going to do is they're going to do an investigation of generals and military leaders that are woke, and they are going to try to
Means
eliminate
Mr. Milley or Miley or whatever
Yeah,
his
Mark
name
Milley.
is probably a goner then.
So what I'm going to tell you
So they're
is,
for DEI or they're not?
who's that? The military right now, over the last 4 years, was an advocate of diversity, what we call equity, and inclusion.
Oh, yeah,
So
we
this
had
new
a-
guy that they've just appointed, who will be confirmed, will try to eliminate that and try to beef up the military to where, I saw a report that about 70% of Americans were not healthy enough to serve in the military. Well, we need better
Well,
nutrition.
what can you imagine
You
when
know?
a man's dressed as a woman is your drill sergeant? I mean, what could you imagine?
So here you've got a guy that's a former military officer that's, he's won accommodations. He wants the military to be strong. And here you go. Donald Trump's giving him full reign to do what he needs to do to make it powerful once again.
But David, you were talking about you're continuing to get kicked off. It's probably more than likely there's somebody around here locally that's watching, and they're watching what you're saying, and they're probably just trying to figure out ways to get you kicked off. I mean, they're just waiting for me, is what they're waiting for me to say something. We'll probably get kicked off. They don't know I haven't got to the good stuff yet. I mean, we've got some people in the audience that kind of thinks that ain't going to happen anymore. But stay tuned. But
it'll be interesting to see what transpires, because I feel like if you restructure the federal agencies within the government, everything will be better ran, more efficient. You'll get less wasteful expenditures. Money will go for priorities, and this country will be made great again. The MAGA movement, Make America Great Again.
Kentucky's at 32.
Well, RFK Jr. is going to make America healthy again.
And I think it's what we need.
And we do.
You're thinking that I'm not healthy? Wait,
70%, Mike, of Americans
you're probably right.
are overweight and out of shape. And a lot of that
Hell, I
has
can't
to,
walk across the
Oh,
hallway
and,
here.
and I myself am one of those people. But what I'm going to look at you and tell you is a lot of that is attributed to fast food industry. Most people eat on the run. If you have kids, you probably don't have time to sit down and cook a home cooked meal every single night when your kids are running to and from. Just part of it. And then you've got, what did you say? Preservatives.
Ingredients in our food that we can't even pronounce and stuff that's added.
Well, what's sad is some of the preservatives that are in our food, here in America, they are not in the food in Europe.
They're not even in the food.
And they're not in the food in Canada.
Right.
David said, "I'm just."
Well, Dave, join the club, pal. Join the club.
Here's something. I'm gonna get into some of the notes here. Here's something that happened in Oklahoma that I think needs to happen here in Kentucky. And if I have anything to do with it here in Morgan County, it will happen. But in the state of Oklahoma, the Bible has returned to all school classrooms in the state of Oklahoma.
They were the first state to do this. They're not the only state to do it.
If we could get Kentucky to do it, I am definitely on board. I think Morgan County should be the first county in the state of Kentucky to do it. I think that's a wonderful idea, and definitely something we need to look
Well,
into.
let me say this. I teach in the public school system, and I'm a strong proponent of public education. I think education is what you make of it. If you want to be a doctor, the resources are there for you to be a doctor. A lot of it is how intrinsically motivated are you to take advantage of the opportunities that are in front of you. Not everybody takes advantage of those opportunities. It's sad because we have some kids that have what I call unlimited potential, but they tend to sometimes waste it because they're not motivated. Why are they not motivated? It could sometimes be personal reasons. It could be family issues. It could be contributing factors. A lot of things. But what I'm going to tell you is Thomas Massey,
Kentucky Rep,
has introduced a bill to completely restructure the Department of Education. You know, I always
I
question
think it's
this.
being backed by Brant Paul too.
And I always question this, and I know people are probably going to say, well, I don't understand why you would question it. You know, I always felt like I got a good education when I came through Wrigley Elementary School. I had several teachers there that pushed me, that motivated me, that helped mold me and make me who I am. They gave me a strong foundation. Because what I'm going to look at you and tell you is without a strong foundation, a house is weak. So you have to have a strong basic foundation. We don't teach our kids to write in cursive anymore. You know, I start writing in cursive every once in a while. And when I do that, my kids see it, they'll say, what are you doing there? And my son's 26, 27, my daughters are 20 and 19. And they're just kind of, but we kind of moved away from that. You know, handwriting was a big thing. Legible handwriting was a big thing. But we try to make our kids now be more diversified. And what we did was in the early 90s here in the state of Kentucky, you had what's called the Kentucky Reform Act. Uh, Basically, they wanted kids to be diversified, multi-talented, very versatile. Well, the only problem I had with that, and like I said, this is my opinion. Take it for what it's worth.
I usually listen to you.
You know, it's just one man's opinion, but I always question that because when they implemented that,
Miss Kidd said you were awful.
Who?
John Stanifer said that Miss Kidd said that you were awful.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I got several paddlings. That is true. I was probably not the best behaved student there was in class.
Yeah, but you had paddling at that time.
Yeah,
and so did I coming up to a certain grade.
Yeah.
You know, Kenny mentioned a minute ago about kids having pride and for their country and not burning flags and hating everything. That happened, with our generation. Back at that.
Well, you were in school. One of the first things you did every day is you recited the Pledge of Allegiance.
Well, that's
and a lot of schools still do that.
Victoria was talking about that a minute ago. You know, we had to do that every day before school started. We had to say them, and like Deb said, it did have the one nation under God in that. They took it out of a lot of schools before they removed the entire pledge out of it.
But I don't want to give people the idea that I'm not a proponent of public education, because I am, because I'm an employee within the public education system. However, I always question when they introduced the Kentucky Educational Reform Act. If it wasn't broke,
don't fix it.
Why fix it? So what happened was I went to Wrigley Elementary, and we had a strong math foundation laid for us because we did flashcards every day. We did practice and drill, and then you did assessments, and then you did retakes, and you had the services there to help you get the strong multiplication tables. So you knew them like the back of your hand. Most kids now can't perform that task without a calculator. They can't do it.
John says he was kidding. Wrigley Elementary was the best ever, and everyone knows it.
Well, like I said, I had great teachers there. I didn't
go to Wrigley. So
I had great teachers there. I had great teachers.
I was a Raider over in Coal Country. Yeah,
and that's not to say
I was the Coal baby.
And that's not to say that the teachers at Camel City Elementary were not good teachers, because most of those kids, they themselves came out and were productive.
I'll put it this way: we never backtalked our teachers, spit in their face, smacked them, done weird challenges where you have to punch your teacher to get hits on a video, or the stupid stuff that's going on today.
When they took the paddling out of school,
I agree.
They took the fear factor for most students. I went to Wrigley Elementary. My principal was Charles Williams. I respect that man as much today as I did when I went to school. I know, and I can look right at you and tell you, as I watch your audience there, I know when me and John Stanifer got in trouble one time in the cafeteria for slapping people in line and doing crazy things.
See, if you all would have only had phones back then, you could have been TikTok famous.
Well,
at that point.
he took us to the office and he paddled us, and he gave us 3 pretty strong licks. And I don't know if I got in trouble thereafter. Now, I got paddled multiple times, but it taught me a valuable lesson. It taught me that, if you don't act appropriate and you don't do the right things, there's a consequence for it. But, right now, if schools, and I'm taking up for schools, because if schools do implement paddling, then the issue of parents coming in and suing kids, wanting to sue the kid.
At home as well. I was in trouble at home as well. If I got in
Usually
trouble
when
at
I
school-
got off the school bus, my mother met me with the command, go pick your switch that you were going to
That's
get
right.
whipped with.
you were
Or
on
she had a belt, or,
Yeah, you got whipped at school. You got whipped when you got to the house too.
well, it taught you a valuable lesson.
Harris did
One of those
blame
ones that
teachers.
did right around your leg. You get-
And you're
But-
talking about principals. At Kendall City, I had Bucky Ellis. Now, Bucky, for those of you that knew Bucky Ellis, we were little kids, so he was this
Intimidating
big guy, so you were terrified of him. And of course, when you get to the middle school, we had Helen Pennington, and ain't nobody. When you knew she was coming down the highway, you was as quiet as a mouse. I mean, and then of course when I got to the high school, it was Bruce Herdman, for the first year or so there, and I mean everybody respected Bruce, until their accident, and then we got Addison Witt. Yeah, Addison Witt and Markwell took over, but you respected those guys too. And then it's somewhere between then and now, or somewhere along the way, it's just went away. You don't respect your teachers. You don't respect your principals, your bus drivers. You don't respect them anymore.
Well, let me say this. Let me add to that, because I think there are some kids that do respect their teachers. There's some kids that respect their bus drivers, the cooks, the custodians. They value all those
you've got
things,
to.
the
You've got
services
to.
that those people provide. However, there are those kids that don't respect their teachers, don't respect the administrative staff. They draw so much negative attention that sometimes it creates a negative environment, and that's wrong, because to say that every piece of gum in that pack is rotten is false. There are certain pieces that could be rotten.
What's
But
backed up
those
is some of
kids
those
need-
to be redirected and pointed in the right direction with a little bit of discipline and consistency. And if parents and teachers and bus drivers and administration was all on the same
Yeah, I
page,
agree.
it would
Well,
work in the right direction.
I'm
I think
currently,
the world getting a hold of it's got a lot to do.
I'm currently, and I say this right now.
Then we got Matt and Joe, and the world was never same. And that's where it turned. When Matthew.
I agree with that 100%, because I'm a little bit different. But right now, I currently work as the head teacher of our Second Chance Academy, and I deal with
Is
kids.
that sort of like our
Rise
Rise Academy?
Yeah, and I've got some kids that, I'm going to be honest with you, there's not a bad kid in my classroom. There's not. They're really, really good kids. They just need attention.
They just
And
need somebody
redirection. And some
right,
of them,
right.
some of those kids just need somebody to actually take interest in them and care about them. So I don't have a bad kid in there. There's sometimes I ain't gonna look at you and say there's sometimes I don't have bad days.
Kind of like Miss Molly with you.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. Here we go again. Every
You
time
can't catch a break.
I can't catch a break. It's either John talking about me at Wrigley or Deborah talking about me
Or
at
Sean
Costco.
Conley's
Or
talking about.
Sean, hey, I got a sign on me that says "Pick on me, Dave."
I had one class with Matthew Perry, and
I
It was pretty
never
close.
once said I was the best behaved kid. I was
I don't
mischief.
even know what you did that day.
Oh, I was
I thought
probably
you asked a
listening to
question.
music.
He
or
probably
something.
trying to figure out what TikTok was going to be in the
Him and
future.
Tim Humble. I'm not sure.
But
what
now
they did.
David said the federal government should not be in charge of our schools, and I agree 100%
Well,
on that.
and
Because once they're in charge of everything, they push down everything that happens. Well, you were talking when you were in school. Do you remember the 10 Commandments being in your classrooms?
you just lost your billfold.
Big time money flying, son. Do you
And
remember
SRP must have went way up.
It went way up. It ripped the wallet. But do you remember the 10 Commandments being there?
I remember, and this kind of tells my age a little bit. I remember when
Well, you're going to say the Declaration of Independence on your end.
I was going to get ready to say that 1776. Yeah. But no, I was going to say that I remember when we had a lady by the name of Miss Tarnt that came in once every 3 weeks or once a month and recited Bible verses, and we had to.
I don't see a problem with that.
We got prizes.
I don't see a problem with that.
Bookmarks, and you
Don't
won
see a problem with
Bibles and things of that nature. And it wasn't like there was anybody really complaining about it, because she wasn't pushing it on you. It was more at the level at which you wanted to progressively take it. If you wanted to recite 10, learn 10, you could. If you didn't want to learn any, there wasn't a punishment for it. But now it's almost like, Mike,
Yeah, that's the way it
if
should
you
be.
don't participate, that it's a violation on your rights.
Yeah.
Well, you don't have to do that. I mean, like most schools.
Do you remember Humphrey Henry?
Okay, most schools, and I
I
get
do
that.
remember Homer.
Most
and Henry.
schools have what's called a fellowship of Christian athletes, and typically in the morning they will have a prayer circle, but they don't make it
It's not
mandatory.
right?
They'll just look at you and say, if you'd like to come pray with the fellowship of Christian athletes, come and pray. And there's nothing wrong with that. If some people choose to do that, hey, that's a great thing. But don't be offended because you don't participate and you
Right.
choose not to, and try to take that right away from those that do.
No, I mean I believe that should be
That's the issue.
that should be in the school still, and it should be an option. And then you got the kids that want to participate; they should be able to participate. The kids that don't, and like you said, they
Well,
could sit in the cafeteria, or they could go, to another room, or the library, somewhere like that. Unless they're checking out,
well,
some
you
crazy
can
books.
go back and study history, Mike, and if you study it intensely and you look, you can find the answers and you can connect the dots. There's been a movement since the late 40s and early 50s to try to destroy the nuclear.
XRP is up. Just got an alert. XRP has risen.
Do not talk about our secrets. Don't do it. Don't do it. But, there's been a movement since the late 40s, early 1950s to destroy the nuclear family in this country. And what's happened over the last 50 to 70 years, the nuclear families took a hard hit. And as a result of that, you have kids now being raised by their grandparents. And
Right.
grandparents don't want to be mean to their grandkids. Therefore, they tend to allow that kid to do a little bit more than they would normally get
What they
by
should
with.
be doing too. Yeah.
So,
All right, guys, I'm gonna ask you guys. This is just something fun. I want you guys to answer it in the comments. Everybody here in the audience is not allowed to. Sean, don't give away the secrets. Um, but this is for the people watching. Most everybody here knows. So here's a trivia question. 61 years ago today, on this date, 61 years ago today, what happened? It's a part of history. What happened? And I want to see if
you want me to answer?
no, we're going to see if we can get somebody to answer it here. I know you know what it is, and I've got it down here on the notes.
Melina's answering it. I'm just kidding. He said nobody can get on here. Can't, Melina.
We had Bible study every morning before school started when I went to school, and like I said, I still don't think that's a problem. I don't think that's an issue. I mean, I don't, but it's just to the point right now. Religion is about like what I don't know. There's just kind of being pushed to the side. I don't know. It just don't make no sense to me.
Well,
it don't even really have to be religion. I mean, we can't even say the pledge anymore at these schools.
well, let me say something, Mike. In the early 1920s, there was a movement in Russia. They replaced an absolute monarch, a czar, with a communist government. When that communist government came in place, one of the first things they did was they took away the freedom of speech, freedom of press, right to bear arms, and they attacked the church. And they tried to remove God. So what's happened throughout the course of history is if we eliminate God, then we can question the very existence from which we are. And that's what's happened. So there's been mass movements by particular groups to try to alleviate the Bible in school, religious teaching in school, the Ten Commandments.
You also get rid of hope.
You're right. You
A
get
lot
rid.
of times it's religion is hope. And when you take that away from people and you have them rely on something other than that, then they have to look at government or they have to look at somebody else to help them.
Okay, communism. They take away religion, they take away God. Now those people turn to their government for their answers. And the government basically control history. He who writes the history book controls history, Mike. So if the government is writing these history books, they can just eliminate parts. It frustrates me as a history teacher because there were parts of history that they eliminated from the historical curriculum of high school. They don't want you to teach about the Civil War anymore. They don't want you to know.
Wipe it away from the country, everything.
Okay, well, hold up. Just because you don't talk about it doesn't mean that
it didn't happen.
It didn't happen. And it didn't impact society. certain things came out of that Civil War. The 13th Amendment, 1865, 14th Amendment, 1866, and I want to say the 15th Amendment, about 1867. Three of the most important legislative amendments that we have in our Constitution, which guarantee equal rights for all. Abolishing slavery, you give citizenship to minorities, and then you basically give them the right to vote.
Looks like we
Did we answer?
looks like we got some people answering it correctly. 61 years ago on Friday, November 22nd, 1963, John F. Kennedy was assassinated in Dallas, Texas.
12:35 p.m.
Well, of course, I don't remember that. I wasn't around. Now, one of us would have been around at that time.
Correct.
Shot and killed by an assailant by the name of Lee Harvey Oswald. Oswald fired 3 shots in 7 seconds from a bolt-action rifle from an armory warehouse and hit the president and hit the governor, Governor Conley, creating massive damage to JFK. Within 20 minutes, he was rushed to a hospital where he was pronounced dead. And aboard Air Force One, Lyndon B. Johnson was sworn in as the new president in the presence of JFK's wife.
And I don't
Jacqueline
know if
Kennedy.
Larry is still on here, but now Larry says he can, he is that old. But he says he could remember when he was in school that, they were talking about it, at school that day. They come up and was talking about
Well, there's
the
certain
news had come across, I guess, had come across that he had been killed. And
But what happens is, there's certain events in your life that happen that you can remember the exact moment, who you were with, and how it impacted you.
oh, I definitely remember.
JFK's assassination.
Well, and
For our era.
and the election of Joe Biden. I'll never forget it. That was the greatest day. Wait, never mind.
There's an elephant in the room, Mike. You know what that elephant is?
What's that?
You want me to tell you what the elephant is?
Sure.
I got the elephant for you. The elephant is, where did those 20 million votes go that he got?
Bingo.
There's the elephant that nobody's talking about. I can show you, I sent you a picture, Mike, if you want to see it for your viewers. I sent you a picture of, see if I can find it. Did I send that to you? There you go. Missing 20 million votes on those milk cartons. When I was growing up, it was pictures of kids missing because of trafficking going on, sex
Which
trafficking.
is still
human
happening,
trafficking.
which is still a
Yeah.
big issue.
You know, the anomaly is this right here. There's your anomaly. If you go back and study the previous presidential elections,
See, Joe he was awesome.
but yeah, 81 million, and you're going to get rid of that cat. You're going to get him out of the race. No, you're not. You're going to keep him right there. Why? Because he gives you the best chance to win. No, what's happened is the elephant in the room is 20 million voters simply disappeared off the face of the earth from 2020. Hold up. Now, Mike, I know that on election night, I heard this. Greatest turnout in the history of the United States. Great voter turnout. Well, if that's great voter turnout, you want to know why? That's blue, and that arrow, that bar is really high. It was called COVID. COVID allowed somebody to implement mail-in ballots. And hold up, if you don't think that there wasn't massive fraud in this election, you're crazy. I can give you examples of massive fraud that happened in this election, but the only difference is this one was too big to rig. And what I'm going to look at you and tell you is those people are going to jail. And what should happen is the people that made this country suffer through 4 years of misery should go to jail for the corruption they undertook in 2020. And it's yet to happen. That's the elephant in the room. I don't care if I make people mad. It's the truth. Look at the statistics. It's right there.
You're not really making people mad because, we know that Biden was the most popular president in history. But earlier this week, he gave a speech at the White House to the 2024 Boston Celtics, who had, won the NBA playoffs. And he actually asked them if they were the ball. He called them the balls. And then, well, let's just let everybody hear for themselves. Let me pull up the most popular president in the history. Here you go, guys. Listen to him. 2024 NBA champions, the Bulls. You're Celtics, right? Balls, you are the Celtics, right? Most popular guy in the history of American presidency. Balls.
Well, in 2020, Al Gore got 51 million votes. In 2004, John Kerry got 59 million votes. In 2008, Barack Obama got 69.5 million votes. 2012, Barack Obama got 65.9 million votes. In 2016, Hillary Clinton got 65.9 million. There's a common occurrence there. In 2020, he got 81.3 million, and then Kamala got, what was it, about 60.
66, but as of today, she's got 74 or something other like that. She's within like 2 million of Donald Trump right now for the popular vote. I don't know. I mean, just overnight, just as always, overnight, she gained like 8 to 9 million votes, and he's only gotten 2 million. And I said, boy, something that ain't right here. Just don't, something ain't adding up.
Still counting in California. For a couple of house races, I guess they're counting.
Something other ain't adding up there, but I don't know. What is that? But the NBA champion, the Balls. And that's the guy you wanted to bring back in. That's
I
just,
miss him. Look here. Look here. I sent you this picture today. Here's what America looked like after the 2024 presidential election. Several people were disgusted over the fact that Trump won. But look at old Joe. Joe's excited as hell.
he's still smiling and going on.
You got Nancy Pelosi. You've got Tim Walz. You've got AOC, Barack Obama, and Jimmy Fallon all destroyed. But yet you got Joe smiling from one ear to ear.
And now that you brought that up, Donald Trump shared a tweet, or I don't know what you call it now. It used to be a tweet. I don't even know what you call them now. But here it is. This is the tweet with Joe and Jill, and he said, "I had a wonderful time visiting my former future resident at the White House. Talk about the decorations. I even got to meet this elderly couple who said they voted for me, a Republican, for the first time in their lives." So look at that, guys. I mean, Donald Trump shares that, and then you mentioned somebody. I know you guys are big time boxing fans out there, and you might have been upset with the Mike Tyson fight. I know I sure was. Don't fear. Jake Paul has his next challenger. And I've got it live. I'm actually was allowed to break it to you tonight. Right here it is. Jake Paul in a global sporting event will go one-on-one with Mike Obama. So, here we go.
Well, the stipulations will probably be so stiff that they don't even have a chance to win. That fight was, you can't tell me that Mike Tyson, pound for pound, the best heavyweight champion in the history of boxing, can't knock this cat out. Oh, he's 58, 59 years old. He's in the best shape of his life.
No.
The problem was the stipulations of the
They
fight.
put stipulations on him. If he knocked him out, he didn't get paid.
Yeah,
like right here,
first round, didn't win no money.
Here's him and Harris, and she's like, we both lost. He said, yeah, but I banked $20 million. You owe $20 million.
I saw that too. She was asking for people to donate.
Donald Trump said he would pay for it. Donald Trump is willing to pay the $20 million that she owes. He said he would.
Sylvester Stallone said that Tyson should have got an Oscar for that performance. Did you see that?
But it was, after it went off that night, I pulled up his training videos, and he's moving like friggin' Ali in his prime. And then in that fight, it'd just been like me and Matthew just sitting here doing it. And but I guess if you're telling me if I knock him out, I'm not getting my $20 million. I'm just going to prance around for 8 rounds and not do anything either. I actually, for the first time in years, I'm really upset about it, subscribed to Netflix. And I don't like Netflix. Don't want nothing to do with Netflix. So I had to subscribe to Netflix for one night only to watch that horrible, horrible fight that I thought was going to not. I should have known it was going to be set up in some form or fashion. But
Are you ready?
are you ready?
Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Hold up. Are you ready? Are you ready for distraction? Jake Paul, Mike Tyson fight, nothing but a distraction. What were they distracting you from? See if I'm right. I bet people don't even know this. That fight brought a lot of attention and keeps people focused on the arena. The only problem is what they failed to tell you while that was going on is that at the Pentagon failed its 7th straight audit. Where's all this money going? Huh?
Apparently hamster fighting.
Yeah, I guess you're going to have the
The
racist
Pentagon failed an audit for the 7th straight time in American history. They had to keep that down so that Americans
How
would
many
not
opportunities
start
do they get?
asking what? Questions. So we just create the arena. And if we put people in the arena, we've got people focused on nonsense when the real things are going on behind the scenes and they're disclosing it to you. The Pentagon failed to audit because government mismanagement. And I'm telling you, they don't want certain people in certain positions. They're fighting it hard. Donald Trump can't.
Opening the JFK files.
Oh, you better believe he's going to reveal the JFK files. They don't want that. They don't want that opened. Why?
I'm sure they had some wrong.
because you're going to find out that Mr. Lyndon Johnson had a little bit more to do with that,
Or
and it more being an inside job.
maybe
Then
federal agencies had
Yeah,
something to do with that. So what I'm going to tell you is, they don't want full disclosure simply because if they get full disclosure, it shows what's going on behind the scenes. So I'm going to look at you and tell you, Matt Gaetz was nominated to be the Attorney General of the United States of America.
Yeah.
He would have been a perfect choice, but yet the media started making allegations that Matt Gaetz was a pedophile, that Matt Gaetz had a sexual relationship with a minor. Well, Mike, I'm not 100% sure if you know this or not.
Funny thing about it is almost every one of them do it.
Okay.
And nobody says a word.
Okay, you're right. So what they are is what they want. They make you out to be.
Exactly.
But let's talk about this. The View this week,
Oh my God.
one of their commentators had to come out and give a formal legal.
Sonny.
What was it? What'd she say?
She had to
basically apologize.
Without apologizing, but saying that she was incorrect and
that the allegations against Matt Gaetz and sexual impropriety with a minor were wrong. What I'm telling you is, people don't know this. Oh, Donald is a smart man. Donald has got several media outlets sued for $10 billion. I'm not sure if you all know that or not, because of bias. He's got the New York Times sued and he's got CBS sued. He had ABC sued as well. I'm telling you, the media in this country over the next 5 years will undergo a severe radical change where free speech will be more permissible.
Well, it's going to be because earlier today, MSNBC was put up for sale by Comcast.
Hold up. CNN is up for
and
sale
CNN
as well.
is with it. And if you look right here at the bottom, how much does it cost?
Elon?
Mr. Elon Musk is already asking how much it would cost to buy it.
Okay, why do they not want him to take over those things?
Because
he's
it
gonna do it
changed.
the same way he does X.
He'd do it like X. It would be a place for information, the true information, but it would also be open. There would be more open.
So basically what you're saying is, people are scared that if Elon Musk buys and controls these media outlets, that the truth will be told.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that the mass media, I gave you a statistic.
I'll be honest with you, MSNBC is probably the most liberal of them all. It's probably worse than, CNN's a part of Comcast, now, I believe. But I mean, but CNN, they're toward the end of the campaign and stuff. They got to where they was kind of siding on kind of a Trump a little bit too.
I gave you a statistic the last time we were online, and I told you that in 2015, the mass media outlets had a 92% approval rating. As of last month, that approval rating was 12%. Most Americans think the media stations lie. Why do you think Donald Trump called them fake news? Because they don't know what the truth is. They mislead it. They keep you in the blind, and they give you false information. As a result of that, they gave you false information about Donald Trump. Also, for all those people that said, "Did you vote for the convicted felon?" Well, I'm gonna look at you and tell you his court case got threw out today.
Today, right
Today.
there. That's actually where I was getting ready to go
So what
next.
I'm gonna look at you and tell you is he's not a convicted felon anymore. So for all those people that claim he was a bad man, convicted
Judge
felon,
Juan Merchan
Merchant.
has granted President-elect Donald Trump's request to file a motion to dismiss the charges in the so-called hush money case in New York versus Trump, and it has been removed the sentencing date from the president indefinitely.
Which brings me to my question.
So,
What felony was he convicted of? What was he guilty of? Who
Hold up,
convicted?
but that is the media's
I know.
way of trying to discourage support for somebody that is going to correct the corrupt system in place right now in this country. Corruption is at an all-time high in Washington. Listen, I would love nothing more than
not
this.
here too.
Hold up, I would love nothing more than this country to be prosperous, great again, and everybody be economically in a better position. But when you got people in Washington that are on a salary of $179,000 a year, Washington is one of the highest cities to live in. Rent in itself is out the roof. The cost of living there is out the roof, and yet they serve for 2 years and 6 years and come out multimillionaires. It's not possible, folks. It can't happen. If you are on a salary of $100,000 a year, you can't come out in 7 years and be a millionaire. You can't do it because you've got cost of living expenses, car payments, house payments. You got to raise a kid. You got to pay grocery bills. You got to pay bills itself, water bill, electric bill. You might live good, but you're not going to get rich doing it. Those people are laundering money.
So did you see where when Elon Musk backed Trump, Mark Cuban blocked him on Twitter, and then Elon posted, he said, "Hey Mark, not sure if you know this or not, but I own this platform."
So he can unblock him. Right.
But on good news, Ellen DeGeneres has left the country.
Ellen DeGeneres is gone. Richard Gere is on the way out.
Woo.
And Mark Pope has moved to 5-0 at Kentucky with a 108-59 victory.
Yay.
All of a sudden, Kentucky's winning, and everybody, even Louisville fans, are rooting for Mark Pope. So, see what happens, guys?
I'm gonna say on the record right now, he's got a Final Four team.
And they're getting better.
Yeah, they ain't reached.
And they're getting better. What else do we got to talk
Who they
about?
play tonight?
Jackson State. I think they're just on the other side of Jackson City there. On the other side up there in between there and Riverside.
Alabama, ain't it?
I don't know where it's at.
It's in Alabama.
All right, guys. This is going to be hard for people to believe, but if I don't show it, we're talking about our country, and I just think, you've heard some kind of nonsensical things here tonight. This one's might be the biggest one of all. But I'll just say it this way. A sex expert has now claimed that parents must ask consent before changing their baby's diaper. Now, you think I'm making this up, so we're going to go over here to the site, and I'm going to pull it up. Right here it is. Right there it is, guys. Now, when you come down here, somewhere right here it tells you, I'm going to change your nappy now. Is that okay? Of course. if the baby did not respond, yes, I don't know how a newborn baby is supposed to respond, but basically you're having to ask your baby to be able to change its diaper. Now, boys, and like I said, right there it is. It's a story. It's right here on a news story. I can send you the link. It's
Who come up with this idea?
it's
Sex expert, Mark.
well,
He knows it.
Whoever
sex
they are, they need to be slapped in the head.
sexuality expert or sex I don't know, something other there, whatever have you. But I mean, I just I don't know. I mean, that just stuff like that just
Just ignorant.
I don't know, stuff like that just makes you wonder. What in the world what is going on with this? What's going on with our country? What's going on? A newborn baby don't speak. So, so
Even duct tape and a hammer won't cure stupid.
yeah, I don't understand it.
That's
A group of 20 vigilante teenagers lure an alleged sex predator to the park for deputies to arrest him. I thought that was a pretty neat story. That was actually on WKYT,
really.
right here. But a group of 20 teens lured him, and there's his lovely face. It actually happened down in California, looks like. But for some reason, our local news, covers everything but local news. I mean, I'm not quite figured that out yet. I turned it over the other day for the first time in a long time to see where the snow was going to come from. Watch 27 there, and all they could talk to me about was Donald Trump. And Matt Gaetz is a sexual predator. Pete Hegseth raped a woman in 2017. This one over here is this. And I'm like, you're supposed to be Lexington and East Kentucky news. But all you could talk about is Washington, D.C.
But you got to understand why.
Why are you on
Why?
the... Why? Well,
Why?
they're
There's only 6 media companies in the United
well,
States.
they're owned by...
And they're all controlled by the same people. Vanguard and BlackRock, who has officially filed for bankruptcy, they owned all these media corporations. They control the narrative. They control what information people get. I'm going to tell you something. If you regardless of what you tell people, if you tell them long enough, they'll what? They'll start to believe it. I mean, he even said that. It's called the Smith-Moot Act, where he gave the media the ability to lie, manipulate, and coerce to try to confuse the masses. I mean, you can look this stuff up. You don't have to take my word for it. I'm just a what? I'm a conspiracy theorist. But I can tell you one thing. I'm batting pretty close to about everything I say normally is a couple months behind.
Actually kind of scary. But
I told you all.
We talk a lot. For the people watching, we talk a lot, off the air, we pretty much talk every night about something. And, he's come up and he said, I'm going to be honest with you. Here's what you need to do here. Here's what you need to do here. Or this is going to happen here. And I mean, like he said, it may be off by a few days here or there to when, it might be thought that it's going to happen. But by golly, it happens. I actually gave away a little bit of a secret a minute ago. I think Sean's the only one caught on to what I was saying, which is probably a good thing. But, one of the big secrets, one of these days we're going to be in a high rise, but yeah.
Moving on up, baby.
Moving on up. Larry said, what about the Jaguar commercial?
Oh, yeah.
What's the I don't watch TV to know what the Jaguar commercial is.
It don't even show the car. It's got a bunch of, I don't know what you call them, trans, Fruit Loop, whatever. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to say I don't know.
It'll be a 3-part commercial.
Yeah, great. I was going to say I don't hardly ever watch. That was the first time I'd had TV on. Well, no. Was that at the... No, it wasn't. That was at Dairy Queen. So I wasn't even at the house to have the TV on. So we were sitting at Dairy Queen the other day, and I said, I'm going to sit here and watch the weather when it comes on. It's the 12 o'clock news. And that's, the whole thing. And which every time I turn the local news on, that's what it is. All the time it's talking about national stuff. It's like, did nobody get robbed in Lexington last night? I mean, Was the interstate not shut down due to a flat tire or something? I mean, what happened to telling the news? You know, what happened to telling the local news?
The reason they don't do that is they want to control the narrative. They want to control what information you're given. They want to control your mind to the point where you believe false information. I mean, they can talk about Donald Trump all they want. They can tell you Donald Trump is this and that, and he's a bad man.
He is bad.
Okay.
You're about to find out.
Okay. But here's what I'm going to tell you. They can go on and on and on about how they'll go on and on about how he lies and he manipulates and he didn't pay his taxes. Well, I'm going to look at you and tell you something. Anybody in his position is going to take advantage of the tax laws that are in place. You can't blame somebody if they don't pay as much taxes as somebody else, if they have all these write-offs and breaks, because the government in that state created those laws. But you got to understand something. They didn't create that law for Donald Trump. They created that law for themselves, but yet they want to blame Trump for taking advantage of it. So that's the kind of stuff that goes on.
Yeah,
and then they want to talk about he's this, he's a womanizer, and you know.
Well, I asked Deb last night. I said, when did Donald Trump become a rapist? I said, because every damn time he's mentioned on a post, every time some kind of video comes out about him, the comments, well, you voted for a rapist. He's a. When was he ever accused of that? Or what happened?
Because he was forced to pay.
You know,
there was a court case where a
because
lady.
I'm sure Stormy, that was not
No,
what
it's
that
not
was.
Stormy. No,
I'm sure
it's the other lady. I can't think of her name right now, but she sued him, and you know he wasn't basically allowed to defend himself. This woman basically got on national television and said that rape was cool. She fictitious. She made up that story. It was the same story from a Law and Order Victims Unit show. She made it up. It was false. But yet, because the media ran with it, and the media was trying to destroy his reputation and his character and convince Americans to vote against him because he doesn't have America's best interests at heart. What you're going to find out in the next 60 days is when Donald Trump comes in the office, those very people that made his life a living nightmare are going to have to answer questions, because there are going to be, and it's not that he is going to weaponize the FBI or weaponize the CIA against him. What he's going to do is he's going to do internal reviews and investigations, and all of it's going to come out. And when it comes out that they were corrupt and they were manipulating and they were doing things behind the scenes,
you know,
you're gonna find out. You'll find out. Just be patient.
Nora says,
as I say to my friends, be patient. Grasshopper.
Nora says she thinks Trump's going to declare a national emergency to remove illegals with the military. What you were just talking about moments ago. There's governors in these states that saying Donald Trump is not coming into their state and touching any illegal.
California has.
I know California is a definite.
Hold on just a second.
There's a new ones every day that is coming up and saying he will not come into their state.
The governor of Colorado, the governor of Illinois, the Los Angeles Police Department has even came out and stated that they would not participate in the mass evacuation of illegals. What I'm going to look at you and tell you is they will participate. And I'm going to tell you why they will participate. Because the federal government has more statutory power than the state governments. Those are called delegated powers. The power to follow the Constitution. The Constitution says that you are either a U.S. citizen or a naturalized citizen.
Massachusetts, Sean said's another one. That's right.
Yeah,
I knew that was another one.
But what I'm going to look at you and tell you, they're going to follow what Donald Trump says, not because of him, because the federal government takes precedent. They'll cut funding to these states. They will do it. They will take the necessary precautions to ensure that mass evacuation of illegals takes place. Why? It's estimated right now that there might be 40 million illegal aliens inside the United States right now. 40 million.
New York had already turned off their magic money.
Well,
Well, the mayor of New York City has came out and basically said that he'll do whatever he's got to do because they were a sanctuary city. Now they're overrun. These
speaking of
EBT
sanctuary
cards,
cities,
you know,
I did have a picture. Oh, hang on here. I've got a picture of the sanctuary right here.
If I ain't mistaken, though, it'd be obstruction of justice, and that's a felony on there.
that's exactly right.
Hang on, guys. I'm bringing up the sanctuary here. So,
You're exactly right.
so here's basically your sanctuary areas. The entire state of Illinois, looks like California, Washington, Oregon, New York, some of your smaller states up in the Northeast.
Okay, I'm gonna
Colorado.
I'm gonna pull up something here, Mike. I want you to look close at that map.
But if you do look, you can see from looks like maybe Lexington, maybe Frankfort or Georgetown, and Louisville in Kentucky is sanctuary city.
Okay, now I want you to look at that map. Just look at the yellow states. Look at the yellow states. Okay, now I'm going to show you a map of what the United States looked like when voting took place on 2020 or 2024. Look at this picture.
Same states.
Same states.
Here.
No voter ID required.
Yeah, I'll pull
Why?
them up.
Why do they want that?
Maybe. Let's see.
Why do they want that, Mike? No voter ID required.
I don't know how that's not mandatory.
Oh, it will be. It will be. I guarantee you, when that man comes in office, it will change.
What's that here?
Why? Because
there you go.
Yeah.
I can pull them up side by side here. So if you look at them, I mean, I don't know what's this one up here.
Which one? Which one? The blue one?
Nebraska. There's one right there that's actually a sanctuary over here, but I can't.
It's probably it's probably North Dakota.
No, I believe that. I believe you're right. It's actually one of the sanctuary states. That went red in the election. But if you look at that, and then you even look over in here, some of these little small. Let's pull that up here. Some of these smaller areas like Louisville and Lexington, that's probably Columbus, Ohio, right there. Those areas did go blue, but like in Kentucky, there's only 2 counties went blue, Fayette and Jefferson. So
elect our government.
But that's the same ones that elect their governor every 4 years or so too.
And not to be mean, but the city of Lexington and the city of Louisville, larger population, have more diversity. And that itself creates that issue there, diversity. And I'm not talking negative about anybody; it just is what it is. But what I will look at you and tell you is, when you went and voted, they asked to see your ID.
Absolutely, they have to scan it.
They had to scan that thing.
You got states. You brought that up.
They got states that don't even require that, man.
I am so glad.
But yet, I go to get on an airplane. Guess what I got to have?
Well, you got to do now. You got to have Smart ID starting next year. You can't even have a regular driver's license. You have to have the one with the little chip on it starting next year to even fly in the States.
Okay. What about buy a gun? I got to have a what?
You got to have an ID.
I got to have an ID. I go to buy liquor. I got to have what? West Liberty voted to
go wet.
When these businesses start selling alcoholic beverages, if someone walks in there and attempts to purchase it, they will request to see their
ID.
Well, they're supposed to, but some of our gas stations probably won't.
I can tell you right now,
because they're not checking IDs on all these vapes and stuff.
But if they sell to underage minors or someone that is not of age, and the ATF, the Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms gets word of this, they can shut that place down instantaneously.
But you brought up here, when we went to vote, you had to have an ID. But here's a story. Here's a local story for everybody. A lot of people's probably seen it, but we had a local girl right here in Morgan County who went to vote in her precinct and was told she already voted. Now, how in the hell do you already vote in Morgan County, Kentucky? Because they had a little machine like this, and I had to scan my ID. They had to do something, and then they flipped it around. And I had to sign it. She had already voted, but I think how it was, they sent her from her home precinct over here to another precinct that sent her back, and they told her she'd already voted. Now it's like,
So did she actually get to vote?
No, she did not.
The
Someone
construction,
bought
the road construction that was going on out here, well, you remember, because we got stuck in it leaving that night. By the time she got back over here, she was going to the clerk's office or whatever. By the time she got through all this road construction, it was past 6 o'clock. So she never even got a vote.
She wasn't going to get to anyway because someone voted for her.
But somebody already voted for her. So she was trying to figure out, what the heck was going on here.
To me, that's equivalent of taking someone's
That's
money
awful.
out of their
That's
bank
horrible.
account. That's your.
So it's identity theft.
Huh?
It's identity theft.
Someone did. Someone stole her right to vote.
I mean, that'd be like you going in and voting for me. I don't know how. I can't go in and say I'm Matthew Perry and sign your name and your information without your ID. I don't know how. That's what I'm saying.
They asked to see my driver's license, and then they required me to sign, and then I went and cast my vote.
But yeah, I don't understand how that happened here because.
Yes, that happened.
Yeah, that happened right here in Morgan County. But that's not the only one. That's the only one that I've seen go public with it. When I was at the middle school, I saw 3 or 4 different people while I was in line to vote come in. They'd go scan their things and they'd leave. And I'm like, God, it make no sense. You didn't get in line. And then another one come in, and then I seen them over here having a conversation with the county clerk. And I'm like, what is the hell is going on here? Why are these people not getting to vote? I mean, is their license expired? Does that matter?
I'm just going to tell you, I'd be very irate if I went to vote.
If something, but
I
don't know.
I would have been even more upset if my vote would have been cast.
Now that's what I was getting ready to say.
Right.
That it was to the point
if I didn't get to choose that right.
It was to the point where I saw these people in line to vote, but I didn't get to talk to them. Because at that point you can't really speak there at the polls, and I didn't know any of them to be able to talk to them outside to see like what is going on here. Are you being told you're voting at the wrong place or whatever? But then that girl, I won't mention no names here, but if she's watching or whatever, she's more than welcome to share her story. And if somebody knows who I'm talking to, you can send it over to her right now, and she can share her story. But it's kind of it's crazy to me to think that she went to vote and they said she'd already voted. It was like, well, you have enough sense to know when I drove from my house to the middle school that I hadn't voted already. So if they looked at me, I'd be like, no. You know that if I've been in here or not. There would be a signature somewhere at the clerk's office if I voted early. There's nothing.
So is that what they claimed? That
I don't know. I don't know what happened.
You said her vote had already been casted.
Her voted already. I don't understand that. I don't know. I don't know. I don't understand that.
Well, hopefully maybe one of the dead people voted in her favor.
Yeah, I just don't know. But like I said, I wished I could have figured out.
When you got states like Michigan that know they have inaccurate names and more voters registered to vote than more people that can cast a vote than legally eligible to vote, and they've got voter rolls that have dead people on it, and they vote. They basically, the Secretary of State said that she would not clean those rows up until after the election. You've got an issue. Why? If it's unfair, unjust, I don't care for either candidate. You clean it up then.
Yeah.
Well, what I couldn't understand, which was on election night, after we got off the air here and I went home, I was watching, on TV. In Pennsylvania, they had big box trucks pulling into the voting areas loaded down with ballots at 12 o'clock at night. And I'm like, here we go again, boys. Because he was up. Trump was up at that time in Pennsylvania. And I'm like, here we go again. And then before they ever could get him in there and whatever, they declared it for him, which, pretty much put him within just like 3.
So you're saying it
so
was
they
too
were
big
coming. They were coming, but I think what happened was, even like in my situation, I went to bed last time. Trump was up big, and I thought, they're hollering there's a flood or water line break, whatever, and Georgia and all this stuff. I'm like, it's all going to be okay. They're going to start counting 8 in the morning. I wake up at 8 the next morning. It's over. And it's like, how did he lose overnight when you ain't supposed to be counting? So I wasn't falling for that this time. I was like, I'll stay awake all daggone night before I fall for that again. and yeah, I didn't fall for it this time. But
Well, I went to bed. You know why I went to bed?
because you already knew.
Because I already knew. That's why I went to bed. I went home and I just laid down. I slept so comfortable, and you know I called all those states early. I think I called Georgia at like 8:30 here.
Well, when you went up, you left here that night,
Georgia had yet
we
to
had
be
been
called.
on right at 3 hours. We've been watching the maps and going over it. But when you left here that night, you declared. I don't know. You declared 3 or 4 states that hadn't obviously any mainstream, had not come across that later that night or earlier the next morning would actually declare the way that you said it would, this color. So,
Red.
Except for
which is
California and
kind of
Virginia.
scary. Which is kind of scary because this guy says things and people are like, "Oh, he's crazier than hell."
I hope they think I'm
And
crazy.
isn't
They're
that?
gonna find out. It
But
ain't
he
come
actually was declaring
It's coming,
that he
though.
was. You can go back and watch
It's
that
coming.
episode. I mean,
yet. It's coming.
he
You
was.
can doubt me all you want. I don't care. It's coming. I'm flat telling you it's coming. There's going to be disclosure. There's going to be information released in the next 5 years. It'll be the greatest disclosure of information about lies that have been manipulating the way things have done for life. Your life is going to change, and it's going to change for the better because you're going to know the truth.
Are we getting paid?
Huh?
Are we getting
Yes.
That was actually
Are you
supposed to
getting
be
paid?
today, but I ain't hearing
Getting paid?
anything. But
I mean, I don't care if you believe me or not, because I'm just telling you that there is. You can't tell me that what I said right here 4 years ago, that there was corruption in the election, and everybody looked at me. Well, the anomaly is the elephant in the room. Nobody wants to talk about it. The rapture came and took 20 million people away. Where are they at? Where are they at?
Yeah.
Come on. Question it. I want to know where they're at. Because
she's supposed to
great
be the
voter
God's
turnout.
gift to the world, that's Joe's backup. She couldn't even top it. Hell, they should have left the poor old fella in there at this point, that guy right there. I think he would have performed better. At least stood a better chance. I mean, I still don't believe he could have
he
won.
wouldn't have performed better.
I don't think
because
he could
what
have
I'm
won.
going to tell you is behind the scenes, they cleaned up election irregularities. They cleaned it up. Trucks in Pennsylvania with ballots being burned to the ground because they weren't allowing them to be entered into the election. I don't care what anybody says. The 2020 election is now even more evident when you talk about a $20 million, $20 million difference.
No doubt.
They did stop some trucks in Pennsylvania, right? I mean, there was
Set them on fire, burn them to the ground right there.
Sean said something that I think will actually start on day one.
Which was one of the.
He's going to come up, and they're going to hand him a form, and he's going to sign his little form with his pen, and he's going to hand it to JFK, yeah, boy, or RFK, and the Keystone Pipeline will be reopened on day one, and guess what? Oil prices, energy independent once again. It won't happen overnight, obviously. It's not going to happen overnight. But, America will become energy independent again. You'll see the gas drop a little bit. So, yeah, it'll be interesting. It's going to be interesting, next couple of months here.
Trying to find my notes here. About half lost.
Well, that's all right.
Bongino really going to be head of Secret Service?
I think he's actually named. I think that's. I don't know, but I mean, and that's not being said. But
do all those have to be does they have to get affirmation for all those positions?
Do
they do for Attorney General?
Do they?
I don't know.
That's my question.
Do they?
Like, are we going to have this circus with every appointment Trump tries to make?
But somebody asked me the other day if I was counting down for Christmas. Here's what I told them: counting down for Christmas? Nope. January 20th. So,
That is Christmas.
That's going to be Merry Christmas for the next 4 years for all of us.
You probably got that up there, don't you, Matthew, about the recess? You don't have to get it.
Yeah, hold on just a second. I was looking.
Matthew, do they have to affirm every appointment? I'm just wondering how many circuses.
You're sitting there with a phone in your hand and you're asking the people that are on camera to do your job for you.
I just want to know, Like Attorney General has to be affirmed. Does everything have to be affirmed?
If the Attorney General has to be affirmed, then they all do.
Jeez.
But
We're just in for
me,
these
myself,
serious.
I didn't even know the Attorney General had to.
Well, they all have to be confirmed by
But
Senate.
but I would think if the Attorney General did, then yes, all of them would have to be. And right now, the only two that they've complained about was Pete Hegseth and Matt Gaetz. And Matt Gaetz is already gone. But Hegseth, from what I had understood, was, it came out
He's a rapist too, ain't
that
he?
all of the stuff that happened with him had actually been shown that, there's no truth to it. It was an allegation, but there was never no proof or no anything that ever actually happened, and he was never charged with it. It was just something that came up, like Trump.
So you asked me what? Go ahead and ask me again.
Does everything he appoint have to be confirmed? Like, does it have to go before them and them all approve it?
Do you want the truth or do you want me to lie?
Both.
I want the truth.
Truth shall set you free. It's called the Federal Vaccines Reform Act of 1998. No official statement has been made, but Donald Trump has the legal authority, if they try to prevent Matt Gaetz or any of his other appointees from being appointed, to appoint them using the Federal Vaccines Reform Act of 1998. This allows for temporary appointments for up to 210 days with a possible 210-day extension. Should Donald Trump do this? That's yet to be determined. He'll get every one of those appointments made. Now, what I told you was this.
I do think I had
Okay.
heard that Bongino had been mentioned.
He was nominated. He was talked about and discussed to be the director of the FBI. Secret Service. I'm sorry, but there are some people that between me and you that I'm not 100% sure that I think they're solidified Trump supporters, and the reason I say that is okay. He has nominated a guy by the name of Mike Rogers to be the director of the FBI. Well, Mike Rogers was open to assassinating U.S. citizens who exposed government corruption, a stance that was also reminiscent of Hillary Clinton. In 2013, as the House Intelligence Committee chair, he also placed Edward Snowden on a kill list. So, there's some question marks with some of these people that he has appointed. Another one of them is Marco Rubio, who is I have some question marks there. So I'm not 100% sure that I'm all bought in on every appointee. Now, there's some that I'm 100% behind because, from day one, they were Trump supporters. They were loyalists. They had his back, like the current governor of, I want to say it's South Dakota, Kristi Noem. She was one of the first governors to send troops to Texas to assist with the mass invasion and all this crossing the border, unvetted, unchecked. So he's nominated her as the Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security. She is one of the first state governors to come out and say that, she's going to send troops to help Greg Abbott in his attempts to stop this massive invasion. So you've got some that, like I said, I'm 100% behind. There's others that I question. Tulsi, what's her name?
Tulsi Gabbard.
Tulsi Gabbard. A lot of people are questioning her, but I'm going to tell you, she was one of the first advocates that there were U.S. funded biological labs in Ukraine that were creating deadly pathogens. So, I even said they had 43 biolabs in Ukraine. I mentioned that many moons ago, and everybody looked at me like I was crazy. Well, there's a little city outside of Kyiv. If you'll look that little city up, it's called China. It's not China. It's China. And that little city, it's CHYNA. That little city has a biological weapons lab there, sponsored by Senator Lugar and Senator Barack Obama, from the early 2000s. You can see it that they wanted to create U.S. medical biolabs there. Goes back to, I want to say, 2003, 2004. And that lab very well may have been the origins of one of the most deadliest pathogens in the history of the United States.
Matthew, I have a question. Like, if he pulls Matt Gaetz, he's a representative, currently elected representative, right? And if he pulls Marco Rubio, he's a current senator, correct? Does that void their positions there?
But if they void their positions, anytime there's a vacancy, the governor of that state has the ability to pick their replacement.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I was wondering. What would
And
happen?
they fulfill their term for however how long they've got left, and then the election will take place. But like if, let's say, Mitch McConnell stepped down in the state of Kentucky,
We ain't that lucky.
Andy Beshear has the ability to appoint his replacement.
And it doesn't have to be the same.
It can be anybody. All he has to do is appoint him.
That's bad.
Were some of these being appointed the Democrats that changed to Republican to get in office? They were talking about a bunch of them doing that. Are they being appointed by Trump? I had heard that there was a lot of Democrat people that, they were going to switch to the Republican Party because, to be able to continue to keep control of the House and the Senate and everything. But these here, as far as I know, are confirmed. Besides Tulsi and, well, obviously RFK, they were registered Democrats or independent, whatever. And as far as I know, they were all conservative. I'm not saying that some of them aren't, but. And then you've got what's her name, Kristi Noem.
Yeah, she's South Dakota.
Yeah, he named her to something.
She's the Department of Homeland Security.
So
Secretary.
that's another one.
She's going to replace Mayorkas.
So who is this Bondi woman or whatever?
Pam Bondi.
She is now the nominee for the Attorney General after Matt Gaetz.
She's a doozy too. She's good.
She's a pet bull.
She's an attorney out of Florida. She's going to be all right, I believe, if she gets there. But she'll be all right.
She helped the sheriff in Polk County bust a lot of child sex trafficking. And some of them are Disney employees.
Well, imagine that. Disney.
Imagine it.
Oh, I thought that was a Magical Kingdom.
It is the Magical Kingdom. Imagine that.
Ground tunnels and all.
Probably on the ferry there too.
But his appointments, they have the ability to change the landscape of America and make it better and undo some things that have been done for years that are, one, destroying the health of Americans. Two, you're going to eliminate the border issue. Tom Homan is the new border czar. He's going to go down there. He's a former police officer. He's a former what I would call Border Patrol director. He served in the Obama administration. He got a chance to be in the Trump administration. He will work with Kristi Noem, and they will make sure that the border is safe and secure. And I can see the wall being completed and finished to help alleviate the problem of people just being able to have easy entry into the United States. There's not a problem if you go through the process. We're not against illegal immigrants coming into the United States. We want them to be legal immigrants by going through the paperwork. And, one of the issues we were talking about earlier on your program is we were talking about the young girl that got killed by one of the illegals that came across the border. Had Trump been the president, that individual would have never got across the border because they would have had to remain in Mexico until they had clearance. And a lot of people are directing negativity towards Mayorkas because the Department of Homeland Security allowed that person to come into this country unvetted, unchecked. They were arrested for a crime in New York and not immediately returned to not taken into custody by ICE, the enforcement agency. Instead, they allowed him to basically stay in the United States, and then what happens? He preys on young girls on a college campus and ends up killing this young girl. And I want to say that I read something that he held her captive for so long, and then finally just crushed her skull.
Because she kept fighting. She fit.
Yeah. 17. That's what it was. I thought I read something similar to that. 17 minutes she fought to try to, I guess get away, and then he just crushed her. He crushed her skull, which is sad because, he wouldn't be here if you follow the law. If me or you don't follow the law, what happens, Mike? Get arrested. We're out here driving inappropriately, and we're violating citations and laws. We go to jail. But what's happened over the last 4 years is they allowed all these people to come in, and they couldn't do enough criminal background checks on them because they had so many people coming at one time. And then another thing that people are not talking about is the 85,000 children, unaccompanied children, that have just simply.
I was up to 325,000.
Oh, that's right. Now it's up to 325,000 children that have just simply vanished. Where'd these kids go? How do kids just disappear?
In Hollywood.
Huh? There's probably a pretty good reason how these kids disappear.
Earlier this week, Joe Biden became the first U.S. president to ever visit the Amazon rainforest.
Why?
So as soon as his speech ends, well, I'm just going to show you. As soon as his speech ends, watch what he does. Something you love. I know you do. And away you go. Into the rainforest. Just wanders off. There he goes.
I think he was looking for one of those trans monkeys.
I mean,
Hey,
yeah.
what's he doing down there?
I don't know. I really don't.
Let's think
I
about
saw that in the comments a minute ago. It was like, for the last almost year, a couple of months now for this election, he's kind of been missing. Since he was removed from office, you didn't see him on vacation all the time. And since Trump was declared the victor, you see him all the time. But he's always doing stupid stuff like this. He's, talking to the Balls Celtics, and now he's in the rainforest wandering off. Massive snakes down there. All this stuff, and
Sure don't see Kamala around there.
it just don't make no sense.
Yeah, she vanished.
She's kind of like this.
I'm trying to hit some of these real quick here.
Kamala simply vanished. You haven't heard a thing from her since the election.
Joe Biden, once again, he's in the news. For the first time, has authorized Ukraine to use U.S.-supplied long-range missiles to strike into Russia, according to the AP. And then what that gets you is a response from Mr. Vladimir Putin, who says Ukraine war was going global. Because, why wouldn't it? And
Does he not understand now that Trump's president that he's not going to get the funding that he's been getting?
no, it ain't got to do with
Well,
that. It don't have anything to do with that. It's what Larry said there a little bit ago, and just because we're just now getting to this part. This is going to happen in the next 60 days. That's what I believe. They're going to start this global conflict. It's going to happen in the next 60 days. We may not see Donald Trump in office. As if that happens and martial law is declared, one thing we've not spoken about tonight, well, Joe, they're asking for Joe Biden, let's get back on screen, to resign. Put Kamala in as the first president, female, she would automatically start war here. There it is. She calls it. War breaks out. Trump's delayed coming in. Gas prices skyrocket. Women go back into the house.
Oh.
Some of them go back in the house.
Jesus. Wait, I gotta think.
Some of the rest of them is going to get kidnapped by, Russian soldiers. But, only the ones that have big mouths and, scared of their local government.
So are you waiting for my response to that?
Mm-hmm.
What is your response, Matthew?
It's a good response.
Because they are sneaky like that, and they're being way too quiet right now, other than complain about Matt Gaetz and all other appointments by
So
Trump.
you
Of course,
think
racist.
they're going to start a global conflict
Yep.
to keep them in office?
Yep.
If that's what, if that's
Well,
what
I
they
know
have to
this.
do.
Within 72 hours of the election, Vladimir Putin announced that the West was no longer viewed as an enemy of Russia.
He
Okay.
also said under a Donald Trump administration that he would sit down with Trump and consider, do the peace with Ukraine, but for the next 60 days, unless a certain secret happens that was supposed to happen today, then it won't be 60 days anymore. You know what I mean? Then unless we have
What secret are you talking about?
a certain court case.
Oh, was that supposed to be revealed today?
That's supposed to be revealed today, which would automatically install Orange Man. And
so you're saying that?
But we're getting a little off topic here, so I'm still waiting for your response.
So you're saying that behind the scenes, the Supreme Court of the United States of America has a shadow docket that they hear court cases and that they have officially rendered a decision on what is commonly known as the Brunson case.
Mm-hmm.
And
Today
they're
was
waiting
actually
to
supposed
just
to be the day.
publicly announce that the 2020 election was null and void. And that Donald Trump is the official president of the United States of America.
Would that get him 8 years then?
Let's not get commander in chief.
Okay, so my response to that is this.
Nora, you will become a conspiracy theorist.
The problem that we've got is Ukraine wants to be a member of NATO. If Ukraine is a member of NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, created in the 40s to basically stop the spread of communism in Russia. Since the 40s, they've wanted a war with Russia. They've wanted it. So they basically stated there would be no aggressive territorial gains. What's happened since the installation of NATO is all of Eastern Europe is now democratic, and they have moved further and further and further democracy towards Russia. So Ukraine is the last stop in the puzzle. So if Ukraine joins NATO, an attack on one, Mike, is an attack on all. And Joe Biden has authorized Ukraine to use long-range missiles to basically take out military defense installations within the territory of Russia. So thus, NATO is now being looked upon as aggressor towards Russia. I told you they've wanted a war with Russia since the 40s. Why? Because they view Russia as a major power, and they can't control them. But what I'm going to look at you and tell you is, I think it's going to escalate. I do think it's going to escalate. I do think there are going to be some instances and issues that are going to take place. I think there's going to be massive eye-opening awareness. And once that opens up, you're going to find out the truth of what's been going on behind the scenes. Breaking news. What's breaking news?
Breaking news.
Matthew Perry just won
that he and Donald Trump Jr. will likely try and purchase MSNBC. What does the fact check say underneath there, though?
Elon Musk did not confirm that he's likely to purchase MSNBC.
Okay, so you always want to read that fact check.
He, however, only asked how much it would cost.
But that was on X.
But that's on X, so it would be his own people. He ain't going to come out, I don't think, and highly confirm it. You're going to have to bring real news over here.
Well, we do know.
Here's the thing about Ukraine.
Here's real news. We do know that the Biden administration
with Ukraine
has publicly announced that they are going to give another $6 billion to Ukraine before Donald Trump becomes president. Another $6 billion. Once again, wasteful expenditures.
Here's what I don't understand. There's Ukraine, and there's Russia. You're expecting me to believe that little pissant country down there is still in the war all these days later, and then they're beating Russia.
I'm mistaken.
What in the hell? Why? I don't know. I mean, I guess what I'm trying to say is, why is there still a Ukraine? Putin could take one damn corner piece. Looks like a Bobby shouldn't be drawing that, but
You are drawing inappropriate pictures online
but
here.
he could take a
Hell,
corner.
human
He could
anatomy.
take
Well,
a
that's what that
he
is.
could take a corner piece of Russia and destroy Ukraine in a matter of seconds.
Diane should
But
have
yet-
that in art class, Bo.
But yet, you know, it's still happening. It just don't make no
Well,
sense.
the
I
reason
mean,
it's happening is because you've got the West, you've got Great Britain, you've got France, you've got Italy, you've got the United States that are giving Ukraine money for
another
assistance.
$275 million package to Ukraine. But what I've got here, and so I've got a thing to show you with other states. Also, wow, families impacted by Helene need help because winter is coming. But if you look on here, 28 million to Israel. Why not Idaho? Idaho is in the mix of the nation's second worst housing crisis. 60 billion for Ukraine, but why not West Virginia? West Virginia is the poorest white state in the nation. 8 billion for Taiwan. Why not Texas? Texas is seeing a record-breaking illegal immigration.
Well, let me.
So why are we spending money? And this goes back to where you were talking about with the gay rabbits or whatever earlier, or whatever it was. You know, racist rats or whatever. But it goes.
Transgender stuff.
It goes back to that silliness where we're spending money on nonsensical things that are across the country, across the world, and not putting our money here into the United States.
Well, hold up. I want to show you a picture, Mike, because this is the last dollar that Trump is going to give to Ukraine. There it is. That's the last dollar he's given to them. It's stopping on January the 20th. It's over for Zelensky.
Well, here's another thing too, with as far as the Hurricane Helene victims in Asheville, they were donated 100 tiny homes. Someone donated 100 tiny homes, and these people are having to deal with Asheville giving them crap, saying that they're not passing inspection for these people to move into them while they're trying to clean up their places and stuff. I mean, I don't understand how everything's wiped out and you still have to pass inspections and everything in order for you to set up some kind of housing.
That's what I'm saying. Well, I'm about afraid to get into it. But if it was for an illegal immigrant, it'd pass inspection. Well, there wouldn't have to be no inspections. You just put them all over the side of the hillside down there.
These people just have their homes and
imagine as cold as it
is
is here the last 2 or 3 nights here, and we're sitting in their store or we're in our homes or in our vehicles. These people don't have any of that. They're down there in tents and you know and stuff right now. And you know a tent, it ain't going to be all that warm. So these people are down there struggling right now to stay warm and stuff with this cold spell coming through. But we're more worried about sending more money overseas, you know, to these countries or the transgender rats or whatever.
It was trans monkey research.
Trans monkey. I mean, seriously, who can't? You know, just like I asked Matthew. I said, "Do you care what's going on in Egypt?" I don't. And it ain't our place to send money to Egypt. Who cares?
Okay, if you're going to improve tourism in a country, you improve tourism in the United States.
Start here and then do things here.
And I'm not saying you don't help those people if they have a crisis, but we're sending money over there for foolish things, and people here are suffering. So what's going to happen is January 20th, you're going to get a president that's going to return everything to America first. You're going to see companies thrive in America. You want to know why they're going to thrive? Because if they make their products outside the United States in foreign countries and they bring them into the United States, they're going to pay massive tariffs. Those tariffs are going to eliminate taxes. I'm telling you, you can look, there are going to be taxes in the future. I'm saying that right now. You're going to pay taxes, but you're not going to pay the amount of taxes that you pay at the current rate. Prior to 1913, there was no such thing as taxes. We had massive tariffs in place that allowed the United States of America to thrive economically. So we're going to return back to that prior to the creation of the Federal Reserve. I do think the Federal Reserve will be abolished. In my opinion, it's one of the greatest travesties in the history of the United States. Why? Because they set interest rates, and they basically provide money to allow global conflicts to occur. The Federal Reserve basically fits the bill for both sides in a global conflict. Go back and look at it. They were providing funding for the Nazis when we were fighting against them in World War II.
They actually just had a congressional hearing. I think Josh Hawley, is that his name? Josh Hawley?
Hallie.
Hawley was questioning. It was Visa and MasterCard about their high interest rates and how much money they were making. And I think Visa and MasterCard was asking that they not allow any other companies to come on board because I think Trump's proposal was what, a 10% fee rather than the 28% fee that they're charging right now. And so they were begging Congress to not allow this competition to come forward. And Josh Hawley was telling them that why should they? They have ripped the American people off, talking about the trillions of dollars they're making on these high interest rates, these credit card rates that they're charging people, and they're charging merchants for people to use them and stuff, and they pay astronomical fees.
Well, think about it. You work 2 weeks for a paycheck. That paycheck is taxed. Then you go to the grocery store and you buy goods, and those groceries are taxed. You buy gas, and that gas is taxed.
Majorly.
You got to sustain your home, so you got to pay property tax. You got to support your vehicle, got to sustain your vehicle. You pay a vehicle registration tax. You're taxed to death.
Even though you already
But
pay
you never
tax on
own
the
it.
vehicle.
But you never own those things. You can say you own your home. Okay, you don't own your home because the law of eminent domain says the government can come in at any time and take your.
Just to work in right here, you have to pay city tax, county tax, state tax, federal tax, just for you to be able to go work.
But Donald Trump has basically advocated that tax on tips would be alleviated. Tax on unrealized property gains will be alleviated, which means, let's say you play the stock market and you make a vast fortune. Well, right now there's a big portion of that will be taxed and go to the government. But if Donald Trump's plan comes into play, whatever you make, you keep. So there's things that are being done to try to alleviate some of the suffering that
It's supposed to be eliminate that tax on overtime.
Overtime, which is big,
Okay.
because
Which
right
is
now, if you work
huge.
overtime, it's 50% or
Yeah.
better, isn't it?
You work 40 hours of overtime and don't make nothing. So I
You're
mean,
lucky if you get 50% of it back home.
well, you should if there is a way for this country to make money and do it reasonably, it's tariffs. Countries bring their goods into the United States. For years, they've got away with doing it for what? Barely a cost at all. But if we take those same goods, American made goods, to their countries, we have to pay tariffs, and we have to fit the bill for the World Health Organization. We paid $287 million to be a member of the World Health Organization. We're fitting the bill for the majority of those countries.
What about NATO?
NATO. We're providing defense for the world. Okay. There comes a point where we have to stop being the policeman of the world and start worrying about our own borders and the people.
What you're saying is basically America first.
Yeah.
It has to be America first, which I believe anybody that lives in America should.
The only way.
And Larry says no tax on Social Security, so that's another one too.
Okay, but this is the way I look at it.
Larry's going to be working.
If you're willing to endure the cost,
B-dubs.
you willing to endure the cost of all these other expenditures, that tells me that you truly don't care about Americans at all. Why should we have to fit the bill for all these people? They wouldn't have freedom in the world if it wasn't for us.
I think that our country is an indication of where we were concentrating more on everybody else.
Well, what a lot of people don't realize is starting on January the 20th, for the next 4 years, is the country of Ukraine will be paying back our money. They're going to be paying us back $60 billion here. So.
Well, they should pay us.
They should pay us every freaking cent of it back, but we'll probably never see it because it's in the politicians' money in the pockets. I don't think that money ever went to Ukraine. It goes to Ukraine as a part of the signature plan, but then it gets fondled back into the banking accounts of everybody else.
Well, he did buy FTX with some.
For you sports fans, we have a final out of the Yum Center Louisville 76 and Winthrop 61. So Louisville pulls out the win to improve to 3-1. 3-1 actually at home.
They got a tough streak.
With all 3 victories coming at home, looks like. And it looked to me like when I checked it earlier, Louisville will play Indiana coming up, Ole Miss, Duke,
They got a tough stretch before they even get to Kentucky.
UTEP, and then Kentucky.
They might be lucky to be 5-4 time to get there.
What is it? That's my phone.
I started to say,
Oh, I
it
was
sounded like a
what in the
phone.
world?
My cameras are going on.
But yeah, me myself, yeah, I do believe wholeheartedly that they should be paying us back, but we'll never see the first cent of that money. I mean, that's just the way it
I
goes.
just don't think it's fair that we have to pay more for NATO than anybody else. How is that? And World Health Organization, all this other stuff. Why is everybody not? Why is France and like England and all these other people not paying their equal share?
It's a good question.
Why don't you call the Prime Minister of England and ask that question,
I'd
and
be
then
honest with you, I'd prefer
and
we
you
just
can let
pull
us
out of
know.
NATO. I think it's a waste for us. I think they've used us.
You having fun over there? You got anything?
Oh, I got whatever you want to talk about. You just ask
Well,
me.
I'm just waiting to move. I mean, I've got one last thing that I'm going to hit on at the end. So, just wherever you need to go here.
I had a lot of information.
I mean, I don't know what all I've got left here. I mean, the Texas thing. I'm trying to see. You sent the Donald Trump Ukrainian dollar bill. I do kind of like that. What is that right there?
That is his appointments. All the people that he has recommended and nominated to these executive departments.
I'm trying to see what else I got here. I try to delete them as we go. That way we don't get all confused. Oh, I'm trying to think. Where do we go? What are some things that we've all talked about in the last few weeks that we said this will be something to talk about? I can't.
We haven't talked about P. Diddy.
Mr. Diddy. Oh,
Diddy
Puffy.
Puff. Oh, Puff.
Oh, Puff.
Puff Daddy.
I was thinking about old Puffy earlier this morning. I said, people growing up, they listened to, well, it was Puff Daddy at the time, and all this stuff. And then, all these people having these parties and everything with him. And then just as soon as he comes out into the news and he's, this monster sexual predator type dude, they kind of distance herself from him. But the crazy part about it is he's just a speck of sand and an entire beach of all of those. Epstein was a small piece of that. This one's, and it's happening with all of them, but they only seem to distance themselves when someone makes the news and they're like, uh-oh, there's a list of people, Epstein, we hear Epstein's list. Now you're hearing of the Diddy party list. People start distancing herself. Miss DeGeneres, leaves the country. I actually had a picture, but I don't know what I've done with it. Where
Ellen DeGeneres
a couple of years
left
ago,
America?
she was talking about, she called him some kind of like Duffy Duff, I don't know, some kind of name, hanging out with him and stuff back in the day, and now she's gone. So it's kind of weird that these people are leaving the country now that old Puffy is in the news.
Well, I hadn't heard of Richard Gere, but I did hear. We did see that on the.
Which I think
his lawyer confirmed
Tom
this
Hanks is
past
already
week.
gone,
Yeah, his lawyer confirmed this last week that he is prepared to testify in court, potentially exposing other high-profile figures in an effort to reduce his sentence. So, did I not tell you I thought he would squeal like a what?
It should be interesting.
He's pleaded not guilty to all 3 charges, but he was denied bail. I got a feeling when people, that's another reason they don't want certain people nominated to these executive departments, because they're going to call for the disclosure of and an investigation into these things that leads to the information on those lists being revealed, and you're going to get names of
So you were talking
millionaires,
about the appointments.
billionaires, uh, corporate America, uh, uh, tycoons. You're going to get politicians. You're going to get celebrities. You're going to get athletes. And what you're going to find out is it's kind of a trickle down effect. Every part of society has been affected by this, and they all have a hand in it. Why? Because it's a $2 billion industry.
Yeah, they
And the Epstein list will come out, and you will find
right.
maybe
Some names on both.
yeah,
Some names on both.
Some
yeah,
of the
some
same
yeah,
some
some
of
of the
the
same names.
some of the same names are going to be on both, and you're going to be like, huh, well, that makes a lot of sense. But I believe, Nora said it here. I think the biggest fish is yet to come. You know, people's going to be surprised. I think when both of these lists are released. Now, of course, we probably got people watching right now. I wish they would, but they
So
won't.
Nora,
But they're going to say that Trump's on those lists. But just like we've said with the Epstein stuff for years, if Donald Trump was on that list would have hell. We would have had the list here. It would have been public to us years ago. Hell, it would have been in the front page of our local newspaper if that list, yeah, if he was on that list, because they want that shown so bad. He's not on that list. So what was you asking Nora there? Nora, I think now, Nora's becoming a conspiracy theorist.
she sounds like it.
She's getting there. She's starting to become one, I believe.
So as the question I asked Nora is, do you think the first arrest will shock the world? Maybe you're going to find out that some of these people have been assets for certain governmental departments. They've been used to blackmail powerful people, and they've got away with hideous crimes against kids, hideous crimes against females,
Humanity itself.
and humanity itself. That's a good way to say it. And what's happened is they've been protected by people in these agencies, because if they're allowed to blackmail people, then these people have access to that data. And what happens? They control them from that point on out. It's funny that there's a I don't know if you've heard this or not. There's a video floating around on social media sites that says that there's some involvement with LeBron James and Diddy. And it's proven fact that LeBron James said there's nothing like a Diddy party.
No.
And actually, LeBron James has Diddy's name tattooed on his body.
And I think today he said.
Wonder why?
I wonder why myself.
I think today he said he was staying away from social media for a while.
That's interesting, isn't it?
Well, that would shock the sports world, but I don't think he'll be the first arrest. Nah. He's a small fish in the big
That's what I
pond.
said. Just like Diddy and Epstein, it looks like a speck of sand on the beach. And a huge beach of a lot more to come. There's going to be a lot more. I mean, some of your favorite movie stars, some of your favorite musicians,
And that's
some
sad.
of your favorite politicians. There's going to be a lot of people. Some of you ain't no telling. I mean, you ain't no telling what you're going to learn. I watch a lot of YouTube.
It will
stuff
come
of-
out, though.
What's
That's
his
the thing.
name?
It will come out.
I can't think of their name. Hansen, Chris Hansen. Is that right? That sound right? Where the child predator catchers and stuff like that. I like watching a lot of stuff like that. It's sick that they go into these small communities and be able to catch these people and stuff. So when you see it on the big global thing, when the big time stars come out, and get exposed, but it's a lot going on with the little people, little regular people in these little communities and stuff that's happening more than anything.
Well,
Nora says she thinks there will be several that will shock the world, and not only that, but the actions that they perpetrated.
Well, Matthew, do you think anybody come out of witness protection that we all thought was dead?
I hope. I've been waiting for 5 years. Just want to see one. Just one. Show
I
me
do
one.
want to tell everybody something interesting that I just found out. I just happened to see it. I kept calling today's show the throwback show. We've got the old flags that used to hang, at the house and everything. But there's something else, even bigger throwback that none of us even paid attention to. On the intro video,
I saw that. I had the same sweatshirt.
he's got the same damn sweatshirt on from the very first show that we ever done. He's got it on right now. And he has no idea that this was a throwback show. So, and I'm like, look here. And that was years ago. Hey, at least you know you can still wear it. That's why I looked a minute ago. I'm like, that's the same damn one.
We talked about pedophilia. Arizona proposed a new bill this week. It's getting ready to pass the Arizona State Legislature. It's called Proposition 313. And basically what it says is that it mandates a life sentence without the possibility of parole for individuals convicted of sex trafficking of a minor. You're going to see sex trafficking laws.
So it was a life sentence. I think they should be sentenced to death myself.
Well, what I'm telling you is that's a
public hanging.
Well, I think that'll eventually come because anytime you did any crime against a youth, you probably deserve that. But what I'm gonna look at you and tell you is, so there's gonna be stiffer penalties against pedophilia and doing crimes against minors in this country, and that's between me and you. That's for the better.
Oh,
For
yeah.
the better.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I'm glad that you brought that up because now that leads me into right where I've been waiting to go to all night long. I don't know if I want to start with this or if I want to start with our dear friend here. Okay, I'm going to start with our dear friend, and then I'll read what's going on in a public school, not one of ours, obviously. And then, we'll give her thoughts. But I want you to listen to our good friend here. We love to share him. So it's about a minute and a half long. So here you guys go. Oh, hang on just a second. Need to turn the volume on. All right, here we go.
I dare you to try and stop me from going into a women's bathroom. It will be the last mistake you ever make. I dare you to try and stop a transgender woman in my presence from using the bathroom. It will be the last mistake you ever make. This is a call to action and a call to arms to everybody within the United States that are scared, worried, have children that are transgender, lesbian, bi, or gay. This is a call to action. You need to arm up. Plain and simple. Go out, buy a gun. Learn how to use it efficiently, through and through. Because the time to act is now. You need to protect yourself and you need to protect your fellow transgender brothers and sisters and theys and thems. You need to protect the rest of us in the LGBT community, as I'm going to do myself. I do not fear Christians, I do not fear conservatives, I do not fear evangelicals, and I do not fear Republicans. They just talk a big game. That's all they do. But heaven forbid you do something in my presence. You're going to know what fear actually feels like.
Well, the only fear that I know what feels like is having to look at that person for that amount of time. But as we've watched, with that person numerous times over, the last year, I guess, every time he comes, should I say she, hang on, that comes on and gives the warning, it's a threat to anybody who's against that. So, of course, I think, most normal people are, especially if you're an adult man trying to be a woman and you're basically threatening to go into women's bathrooms. I know some women around here would tear his nuts off if over there's one that's over there playing video games that don't care about anything, but she's also the same person that would sell him a weapon. So, or her, so that's the odd part about it, because just the way things work. So that leads me to this. Parents of the Hillside Elementary School down in New York, or up in New York, were sent an email informing them that they are implementing a gender identity curriculum for kindergartners. And as you see on your screen here right now is the actual email that was sent. It's kindergarten. It's going to be talking about cisgender. I have no idea what that is. Transgender, non-binary, sense of acceptance, respect, support, and inclusion to self and others in a school environment. And then, as you can see there, you can continue to read.
Cisgender is what you were born as.
Well, what you're born as is what you are.
Right, I agree.
So, but
I think let me say this, Mike. I think a lot of people fear that when Trump comes into office, that diversity in America is going to change. I don't think that your rights of people that are part of the LGBTQ community are going to change. I think what's going to happen is it's not going to be as globalized and mediaized as it is. The media creates a lot of these problems because they for one, give an example. Okay, Barack Obama paints the White House the pride colors. That for a lot of people, they may not necessarily been ready for that. And it created some opposition and some animosity. I personally do not care one bit how anybody lives their life. That is their personal perspective. I think the new administration thinks that. They're going to protect people. We don't want to see people get bullied. We don't want to see people get racially profiled. I don't think they want to see that as well. But what they want is they don't want one particular group, because the media gives them more attention, getting more rights than somebody else.
I think it's also the pressure that is placed on, like, drag queen shows in elementary schools, very sexualized.
Well, you're
implementing
a gender identity curriculum for kindergartners in this school, and then you just watched, the individual that, just threatened anybody that says, and that's a man. I don't care what anybody says. That's a man that's acting like a woman, that's still got a penis, but he's saying that you're not keeping him out of the girls' bathrooms. I would.
Well, I'm just going to tell you. I'll say this.
But now what happens is I'm probably going to get sued, because anytime I've noticed with this guy, or whatever that is, anytime you mention something negative about this person, that he sues you. So
remember that there's a transgender person who was elected senator, Michael, or House Sarah McBride, in Delaware, and Nancy Mace actually brought forth a bill asking that a bill come forth that no biological male can be in women's private areas.
Well,
such as
that's exactly where I was going with this.
Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, has initiated legislation that will keep men out of females' bathrooms.
She was hoping he would bring it forward.
But I mean, that's why I wanted to save this to the end, to show that individual plus this gender thing, because as long as I'm sitting on the school board in Morgan County, never will you ever see me sign anything or agree to anything that puts a female or a male in the opposite bathroom. And also, you'll never see me agree that boys should be playing female sports. I mean, that it's not right. It's not part of it. I don't know what cisgender is. You said it was what you were born as. Just like I said the other day, if you were born a boy, you're in the boys' bathroom. I don't care what you look like. If you were born a girl, you're going to the girls' bathroom. That's just the way it works. Yeah, I'm just one person out of 5 that has to agree with that. But my promise was to my constituents that I was going to do everything fairly and the way it's supposed to be. And that's, I'm not. I'm just. I don't. But I don't agree with it because you're asking for horrible situations when you continue. That's a grown man, or whatever.
Well, I think
That's an adult. But this one is saying that he's going to be in the bathroom with your young children.
Nancy
If you've got young
Mace's-
children, grandchildren, this person's saying you can't stop him from being in there with your young granddaughter or your young daughter. And
Nancy Mace's argument was with media, because media was really hounding her about it, was that she was a victim of rape herself, a victim of sexual abuse, and that she did not see that it was appropriate for someone with a penis to be into
It shouldn't be.
a woman's bathroom.
It shouldn't be.
Or private area.
She still has PTSD.
Yeah.
now, I'm not going to lie. Have I ever been in a woman's bathroom? When you don't have a gallbladder and you've got to go, you're going to go to that woman's bathroom and hope to goodness, it's one of the ones that locks behind you. But I mean, but to say that I'm going to go to Walmart or Big Lots or Lowe's or somewhere and just, hey, I'm going to walk in the women's bathroom today and stand there and pee with all these kids and these little kids. No, absolutely not. No man should. And if you do, you're just like that guy. You're mentally ill, something's wrong with you, and you're attracted to children. And that goes right along with what we were talking about with the Diddy stuff and all this other things. How the hell could you be attracted to children? I just don't understand it. We watched a thing the other night where a guy, was doing that, and I'm like, what do you see? I mean, he admitted to having oral with a 9-year-old. And I'm like, what? How? And I don't know. It just don't. None of it adds up to me. None of it makes sense to me. And like I said, I don't think that anything like that's going on in our school systems. But
Matthew, I'm disappointed you didn't finish your candy I gave you.
That was terrible.
yeah, man, you need to finish it.
Dude,
I am not finishing that.
Actually, after it gets past that one big wave of
Yeah, it's
sourness.
good,
It's pretty good, isn't it?
That was tough.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that, Nora, and I know Brandon. Brandon's the same way. I mean, he ain't. Nobody's gonna agree to that. My daughter will be 20 years old in April. Deb's daughters are what? She's gonna be 21 and 20 what? 5? 24. And I'm pretty sure that people's not gonna agree with this person being in there and with those girls, and they're adults. I mean, the country has got a mentally ill issue, and somewhere along the way it needs to be corrected. I don't know how they're going to do it. I don't know what they're up to. But
See, unless it's changed in the last year or two, but the suicide rate for transgender people is surpassed suicide rate for ex-military.
but they'll blame it on us. They'll blame it on people because we don't accept them. It's like I'm like Matthew said many a times before. Even this person, I don't care what you are. I don't care what you believe you are. But when you sit here and threaten people that you're going to go in with these little girls and you need to go buy guns and you're going to take care of people that don't agree with you, that's different. We don't threaten him. We're not threatening these people because of how they want to live. It's just that, there comes a time, and I don't know if my favorite was you guys the other day or not that I told this to, and I said, I've always wanted to be. How was it I said it? I've always wanted to be approached by somebody that wants to use the bathroom, the opposite bathroom, that I should be in the opposite bathroom. And, my question's always the same. It's always going to be the same, like this person. Do you have a penis? Yep. Then you're not going in that bathroom. I mean, that's not the words I used, but, I got to kind of keep it a little clean here. But that's what I would say to this person in public is like, if you're packing a package down there, you're not going in the girls' bathroom. I don't care if you're decked out in your fancy Reba McEntire red dress from head to toe. You're not going in that bathroom. Especially if my daughter or my mother or my grandmother or video playing gray-headed Silver Fox is in there.
I mean, if they feel threatened and it's such a big issue to them, why don't they just have, a thing where these places can maybe make their own bathroom?
Right. Well, I know Walmart actually has different bathrooms, universal bathrooms, but they don't want that. They're not going to go in the bathroom where they can turn around and lock the door. They want to be in the bathroom with the little girls because they want a dominant male type figure, that don't believe that way. To say something to them. Aiden, are you still with me? Yeah. If one of these trans people went in on your girlfriend in the bathroom, what do you think about it? I'm knocking them the fuck out. Exactly.
Well, I ain't going back to the school thing.
That's what I'm saying. And this is our, this is one of our younger generations that's not going to accept it, and probably got us kicked out there, but for using his inappropriate language. But I wonder where he got that from. It has to be his mama. It has to be. Ain't nobody else talks like that around him. But
we're going back to the kindergarten thing. I mean, you shouldn't be teaching ideology like that to kids in school anyway. Let kids be kids.
Well, what happened? What happened to that? What happened?
What?
To little kids?
It was a big
kids?
deal to
Right.
introduce sex ed to kids at one time. You had to have signatures from parents in order for you to participate, and that was like in middle school, late middle school to high school.
Hell, I don't think I had it until like sophomore or junior year.
That's what I'm saying.
In a health class, and there was like a week of it or something.
But now they want to introduce it into kindergarten.
Might have been a 9-week. Might have been a 9-week part of it. I don't know how it was, but I remember it being it was included into a health class when I was in school. But it's like
when I was there.
I don't understand why they can't just let kids be kids.
That's what I'm saying. I think that they're in this rush to.
In kindergarten. Hell, in kindergarten, most kids are just learning how to use the bathroom.
I will tell
and be able to not have to be used. Have to be changed or assisted with. Let alone being told you're gonna.
Freud or one of them
It goes
said
back.
That every child goes through a period where a girl wants to be a boy and a boy wants to be a girl. It's just part of growing up and stuff like that when you're young like that. And then, but these people are ready to say, "Oh, honey, you think you're a boy? You're 5 years old. We're gonna go ahead and make a sex change." And it's like, dude, this is part of life. Even Sigmund Freud, as weird as he was, said this is something that kids are.
Well, we just watched a thing the other night where a kid. It was actually a school board meeting in another state. A kid came home with this book that he checked out at the library at his school, and it was like a very, very informative,
very
graphic trans type thing. And when he went up to the librarian in the school to check it out, because he was going to take it home and show his parents, she said, "We've got more of this. Would you like some more of these?" Trying to get him to take more, like he was really being like he wanted those books, And the dad went and ripped him a new one at that school board meeting. And everything what is this? Why is this in our schools? Why? What happened to the day where you handed the kid a Bible or you handed the kid a history book or or any type of book? Just where's Waldo? Just something that these kids can have fun with. But now it's like you got
Charlotte's Web is on the ban.
Charlotte's Web's being banned because it's supposedly a sexist thing because animals or something or other. And
use the word God or something in it too.
You can't find Charlotte's Web in a school library, but you can find transgender silliness. So it just don't make no sense.
Go from where's Waldo to where's my dildo.
What the hell library's he been in? But,
is that Morgan
County? Goes back to what I said earlier, Mike. Goes back to the program that was implemented in the 40s and the 50s to destroy the nuclear family.
I believe that.
You destroy
it.
And what happens is and I say this, and I don't mean this being mean.
Women in the workforce, away from the home, they were home taking care of the kids.
So what ends up happening is
watching our days of our lives.
We weaken down our society. We weaken testosterone levels. We create weaker individuals with additives, preservatives,
estrogen a lot into these breasts
all this stuff.
Chicken
it goes.
Oh.
No.
Oh man! I thought you was talking about some other kind of breast. I'm like, what the hell? What happened to this show all of a sudden?
It all plays a part, and what happens is you normalize things that are abnormal. and people will become all right. Imagine this. Okay, we know society right now has some radical ideology that's being advocated. That's the best way to put it. Okay, imagine what it's going to be like in 50 years if, well, let's say this. Imagine what it would have been like in 10 years had Hillary Clinton won the presidency, been able to nominate 3 Supreme Court justices, which can dictate the rule and law of the land and basically change everything
We
that
would have
we
been
know
paying
is normal.
reparations on our taxes. Because we just watched the movie. I'm telling you, if you watch the movie, it's crazy. This DEI stuff is out of hand. That we have to get rid of our whiteness. For one, I don't even know what that means, whiteness, because I have Native American
Well, actually,
history and all
the drink that you love so greatly, just a few years ago, Coca-Cola came out and was telling people to be less white.
That's right.
And it's like, what the hell do we do to be less white? I mean, how do you be less white? I mean, what do you got to do? Because if you put any, well, I ain't going to say, I was going to say if you paint yourself, then you're ridiculed for doing that. So it's like, how could you be less white?
There are programs actually, and in my instance, what I believe is that if you judge anybody by their color or categorize them, you are racist. I don't care if it's white, black, whatever. So if you are telling us to be less white and that we need to do this, then that in itself is racist.
The show that you're talking about, I'm assuming, is probably
It's Matt Walsh.
Matt Walsh, and it's it's called "Am I Racist," which is the name of it. It's a very, I mean, it sounds like it's going to be silly, but it's actually kind of informative. But here's the thing that I've learned with it is pretty much 85% of the people he talks to is white people. And they're on there talking and putting white people down and saying that white people are racist and stuff. But I'm like, you're white. I'm like, what are you talking about?
There's an author who made a book, White Fragility, and it's about being that we need to be less white and stuff. So he has a guy with him that's helping him out that is African American, and Matt Walsh pulls out of his pocket money
and hands him money for reparations.
That he's going to pay him some reparations, and the author's like, well, I wasn't meaning like directly, just in a system we should pay reparations. And he kept looking at her, and finally she goes to her wallet, and I think she pulled out $30 because she asked him if he was comfortable in taking money, and he said, "Yes, I'll take money."
He said, "I love cash."
There's just stupid stuff like that. It's like, come on. One, nobody none of us here ever owned a slave. None of us.
There is no. I'm gonna be honest with you. There's no living person on Earth. Well, I don't know about Earth. But no living person in the United States of America that lived during slavery. Now, you may know differently, but I would imagine, because they'd be 150 years old, and I don't know if anybody lives that old or not. I've not known anybody.
Well, and they say that we have some kind of privilege, but you guys,
what privilege is what?
I struggle to pay my bills the same as someone else, so I don't know where the privilege card is coming in here.
Right.
I think it's a ridiculous thing, and that government is the worst one on categorizing us. We have to sign forms that says for us to check our box that we go in. I refuse to check white anymore. I'm checking other, and I'm putting American because I think that's where we should be classified as. We are Americans, period.
Conspiracy theorists is what I'm putting. Conspiracy
I just want to know if other
realist.
countries do that. If they segregate their if people have to categorize themselves in France, do they have to categorize them by color in all these other countries? I've never been to another country, so I don't know.
I'll never be to another country, more than likely. Unless things actually work out real well for me here in the near future. So then I may have to, I don't know. Won't be certain countries, I guess.
I thought you and Matthew were going to cross the border and come back.
Well, no, that's still in the works. It's a lot easier for us it's a lot harder for us to go from our country to that country than it is to come from that country into ours. We're probably going to get shot down and threw in the river if we cross and head that direction. But if we are already there and we come this way, then you get basically handed cell phones and tablets, new cars, everything you want. And it's like,
What about Ukraine?
yeah. Son, you've gotten awful quiet all of a sudden. What's going on over here? You sleepy?
No, I'm just listening. I'm taking it all in.
Do you remember the guy that just came in the store a couple weeks ago and said that he was over in Ukraine doing missionary work?
Mm-hmm.
Remember? This is true. This is recent.
Yeah, this
And
is
I
just
said-
this was just within 2 weeks, probably.
So you went to Ukraine and there's a war going on? He goes, yeah, it's really weird that they allowed us into their country and there was war going on. He said, we did hear fighting at night. He said, but we didn't really see anything during the day. I said, that's weird.
Imagine.
I
that.
promise you this guy came in the store.
Yeah.
Did he not?
Yeah, because I asked him, I'm like, why in the world, of all the places in this world that you could take a mission trip, why would you go to Ukraine?
He said they needed our help.
Or Russia, or Afghanistan, or any of those Middle East countries? I mean, why? Why not go to Germany? You know, go to Italy. You know, go to something. I mean, I know those countries are rough
they
too,
needed
but
our help because Russia is devastating them. And then I was like, well,
but
how
yet, if
come?
you hear the media, Russia's getting devastated by them. So
I
it's
said,
like
did you
it's
see it? And he said, no.
One word describes that war. It's called theatrics. Theatrics.
Well, why would you fight
They're
war at
painting
night,
a
not during the
picture.
day?
They're painting a picture of what they want you to see.
well, it's just like
And the only way you're going to see it in real life and in real time is to visit that country.
Do you
And
think
here you
Joe
got a
Biden went to
guy.
the Amazon rainforest?
Okay, and here
Because
you
I
got
don't believe he
okay,
was
here
there.
you got a guy. I don't know this guy who said he was a missionary in Ukraine doing missionary work, and he never saw war during the day, but he heard battle at night.
Or battle at night.
Hell, I could fire a gun at night, make you think a war is going on.
I think that's funny that
But
you
we've
hear
sent
it.
$100 billion over there, supplied them with weapons, provided them military support with the threat, and all of America thinks there's a major catastrophe
Well, I
going
mean-
on, and this guy's saying there ain't no war going on over there today.
This
And
guy
you got
was
Russia with 100
he
million
was a
more
Mennonite.
people.
He was
guy.
one of the
He's
Mennonites,
a
I believe. Yeah, I mean,
Amish Mennonite guy from.
I wish he would come in here so we could have him. We'd have him come on here, and he'd tell you.
So there was no reason.
But I mean, you could get on the Fox's favorite social media site, TikTok, and you can watch videos from Ukraine. And they're sitting around at little diners and outside having little picnics and stuff, and it's like they're supposed to be getting blown all to hell over
Well,
there. But I mean,
here's what this is my opinion, and like I said, take it for what it's worth. One man's opinion is what it is. But when you got all these famous people visiting a war zone,
right?
I agree with that right there. That was my
Right at
question.
first.
okay,
There's
you
no
got
war going
Nancy Pelosi, you've got Joe Biden,
Lindsey
you've got Lindsey Green, you've got Ben, what's his name? Shit, can't think of it.
Adam Schiff.
I mean, you got all these politicians. You've got Sean Penn that visit.
So he's been over there numerous
I
times.
mean,
yeah.
and then
You
had.
put on a concert.
I mean, you've got you're right.
They're over there singing in the middle of the street.
No, they were singing in a. They were singing in a
That
subway.
was right at the beginning.
That was a subway.
That's
I'm
when they
saying-
were saying the war was the worst it's ever been, and they're over at a concert. People everywhere.
Mitch McConnell's over
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, you know, that's why I said
We're so
I'm not there. I don't have a firsthand knowledge of what's going on over there, other
I
than
do.
what has been
I've been
reported.
there.
Other than what's being reported by the media. So, the media reports that Ukraine is, putting up one heck of a valiant fight against Russia, and they're pushing them back. And
No.
Putin. So I just say,
Oh, I've been there. I went. I got my license renewed, and I got me one of those really nice little old
The DEI.
whatever those the smart license or whatever they're called now. And then I got me a passport. I flew over to Ukraine. I landed at the biggest airport in Ukraine. I walked down the steps of my airplane, and I see. I go back up the steps of my airplane. I fly my ass back over here, and I ain't never going back. So that's exactly what I done. I saw that, and I'm like, no. But heck no. Don't want nothing to do with that.
the media told you that, and I even told you Tulsi Gabbard was one of the first to come out and say that there were U.S. funded biomedical labs with deadly deadly weapons being produced there. She's one of the first to do it, and the media downplayed it and said there are no biomedical labs. Well, government reports have come out to state that there's 43 medical biolabs. Go back and look it up right now online. I'll bet you can find it. Do a search on Barack Obama and Senator Lugar trying to create biomedical labs in Ukraine in the early 2000s, and I bet you'll find news articles about it. I'm shutting up.
Barack Obama and who?
Senator Lugar.
Not Lex Luger either.
Senator Lugar. Luger.
But that's like Lex Luger.
Yeah. Creating medical U.S. funded biolabs in Ukraine with the intent to create what? What are they creating over there?
Wasn't it around 2010, 2012?
I want to say it's about 2004 or 2005.
No telling what they got going on over there.
One of the youngest senators, Barack Obama.
Well, how long has Zelensky been president over there?
Too long.
Because
he's an actor.
He's been there.
He's playing a part.
Yeah, that's just kind of
What'd you find? He found nothing.
Ain't found nothing. You know what you remind me of?
The idea that
production program extended reach to Ukrainian biological facilities. Non-Luger Cooperative Threat Reduction Program. That's the only thing I'm finding on Luger.
Quit reading about WCW Monday Nitro and this is the quietest I've ever heard it on there.
Agreement or something.
Well, now it looks like all like the Washington Post, some of these others have done these redactments or whatever because it says how Russia lied about Ukraine's biolabs. And that was in the Washington Post, but that was in 2023. So it looks like they're just trying
to. I found it.
D.
His name was Senator Dick Lugar. Senate Foreign Relations Committee Chairman Dick Lugar, Republican from Indiana, and committee member Barack Obama at a base near Perm, where mobile launch missiles are being destroyed by the Noon Lugar program.
First time I seen it though was 2019 to come out. It was funded by the DOD.
It says the Nunn Lugar Cooperative Threat Reduction Program has transported 124 samples of 62 unique strands of causative agents of plague, anthrax, cholera, and other dangerous diseases from here to Washington, D.C. Wow. Maybe I was right. Bioweapons agreement signed. Wow. Maybe I was right.
Moved to the U.S. Armed Forces Institute of Pathology in Washington, D.C. by U.S. military transport on September 2nd.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was last year when Putin had evidence and he offered the United Nations for a ceasefire to go in there and investigate what he found as far as the bioweapon labs.
Well, see, here's the funny thing about the whole fact checking that we got going on. Well, you've got some fact checking going on back there, and you got Farmville being played over here.
I was fact checking for
because she literally found nothing, and in a matter of seconds, the other two people that picked up their phones and looked found it.
That's what I got. Google does not see.
Well, maybe you should be using something other than Google.
She got it off Google.
I got it off Google.
I didn't, but didn't look at it. Didn't look for it either. I was letting you all do it.
All it says is Russia claims. Russia claims. That's what it keeps saying. You don't say nothing from 2005.
It's probably all Trump's fault. You know, that's what they're gonna blame it on anyway.
It says, obviously,
Well.
2005.
co-op of the program in USA.
2000 what?
2005.
I was right. Again.
Smoke you another.
Dougie.
I will now. I'll have to. See, there's a picture of them both together.
Okay, right there it is. But that's what I read off to you, and you said it wasn't right.
And said it.
None Luger report.
That's it. None.
Yes.
Luger report. I said that, yeah.
Yes, that's what I said at first.
You just
This is starting to get out of hand.
She's starting to hear things.
You know, it's getting out of. She's getting old.
She is.
You know,
Delusional.
She's getting up there. She's about to become this.
The idea that
That's the greatest.
But sometime before the inauguration day, we'll get back to playing. We're gonna have
Underground
we'll have the
tunnels.
greatest Biden moments or something other.
Y'all gonna miss him.
Nora's been reading some major stuff. There's a warrant out against Netanyahu.
Yeah, they are. There's like 5 or 6 different countries
Crimes against
calling
humanity.
for him right now. Yeah.
War crimes.
Now my eyes jumping again. I was
They
fine.
come out yesterday. I've seen it.
So I don't know what Nora's reading, but I mean she's going to be declared a conspiracy theorist. I mean it's going to happen. Well, you know you got to earn your stripes to be the realist. You got to sit right. Nora will have to. Nora will have to come on here and do lives with us to become a realist. That's why nobody believes you. Because you're never behind the camera. You sit back there and play Farmville all the time.
I looked it up for you.
And,
Is that game even still?
that's what she's playing. You'll be driving down the road and you'll be in the ditch. And she'll be playing Farmville on her phone. And I'm like, oh my God.
Chickens and my cows and my sheep.
Damn, the hits just keep on going.
Ah, Lord.
I'm making money.
I think we've been on here longer tonight than we was on election night. And
Here, I've been playing Angry Birds.
You ain't making money.
I think
am.
both
See, look, it's ranking up
of
right
you
here.
do.
Not as much as Doge, but this is ranking.
Nora, we can't be giving away the secrets now on how to,
You can't see that.
how to do it, how to become realist. But I think you're on the right steps. I really do. Sounds to me like you've got the right path to become a realist.
Let's see, $17.10.
One thing I can tell you, Nora is not scared like some people that are in the room with us. Farmville is still a thing. Thought that ended 20 years. I did too. Till the other night, and I'm like, because I was just joking. I heard her say she was feeding a goat or something other, and I'm like, what the hell are you playing, Farmville? And she looked up and it had like Farmville 2 or something other, and I'm like, what is going on here? You got anything else?
Nah, I'm good.
Do like that you've got the same hoodie on the throwback night.
Throwback. I didn't know the night was called Throwback.
I didn't either until I decided to bring the flags. And I'm like, well,
had no idea.
Nora says, how do you think I spend my retirement days? Ain't nothing wrong with that. All right, guys, before we go, I'm going to give you guys something to think about before the next show. When will that be? When can you... I mean, you're off, what, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday? Well, obviously, we ain't going to be here on Thanksgiving. But
next Friday be good.
Next Friday, I was thinking next Friday will be our Thanksgiving feast episode, our very third one in a row. Might even try to have a special guest onto that one. But anyway, here's something I want you guys to think about. I didn't mention it tonight, so I want you guys to look this up, and talk about it. But just this past week, there's been 350 trailers, FEMA trailers, that have been packed military-grade arsenal and tools, underground prisons, hidden bunkers, and detention centers ready to suppress patriots. All of this has happened in Michigan. FEMA is nowhere to be seen doing hardly anything for flood victims, but they're setting up 350 trailers full of all this stuff in the state of Michigan. What are they up to? What do they got going on in Michigan? So I'll let everybody think about that. Try to get some, try to get your information. Matthew said next Friday.
Get on it.
Nora, Nora, yeah. Nora, you can actually come next week and be live with us, or we'll even send you the link and
They're
bring you
trying
on.
to create the movie Red Dawn
It's
Wolverine.
what it looks
Been
like.
watching it. Gotta brush up.
It's what it looks like.
Wow.
But they got
Matthew,
some.
you need to
You,
come
but
see
you
me.
say that the average person doesn't see it on the media, so guess what?
No, it's not being seen on the media,
It don't
and,
exist.
and like I said, it doesn't
Matthew, you
exist.
gotta come see us.
What you trying to say?
What the hell are you doing?
She's
But get back to feeding the goats. But
I already fed them. They don't need
good
fed.
Lord. But anyway, so you're good next Friday.
Yep, we'll do next Friday.
7:30.
Hey, the one's fine.
Something right through there. We'll figure it out before then. But, all right, guys. So it's been great. It's been a long night. Dylan says the Wolverines. Yeah, Wolverines from Red Dawn.
It's a good movie.
It's a damn good movie. I actually have to watch that one.
The
This
original is better than the remake.
weekend. I agree with that.
Patrick Swayze
I agree with that.
and the what was that called? The Outsiders crew that played the Outsiders. Most of them did. That's a good movie. It's old school. Show
But
my age a little bit.
hope you guys, it's
Pony Boy.
Pony Boy. A lot of those guys went on to be big name stars. Hope you guys found a lot of this stuff informative tonight. I know we went a little bit longer than we normally do, but sometimes when you got 2 weeks in between and there's been an election and everything from, the last time we were on and a lot of appointees, we had a lot of things to talk about and had to get through a lot of things. And, but Matthew's saying we'll be back here now next Friday night, Black Friday. Are we allowed to say that? But, we'll be here on Thanksgiving feast. Could have some special guests. Not sure yet, but I'll see if we can have some special guests here next week because the first two Thanksgiving feasts was the first one at least was definitely a little wild, and then the second one got a little crazy there. So that means we've had 4. That's right. So we've had 4 of those. So this will be the 4th one. But anyway, we'll see how that goes. If not, it'll just be us and our lovely faces and our number one fact checker, Nora. We'll be on hand, with all of our information. If anybody needs any help learning how to play Farmville, contact Deb. Because I can't help you. I used to be a genius at the original game back 20 years ago, like Dylan said. But it's been fun, guys. I hope everybody enjoyed it. Everybody stay safe, stay warm. It's definitely gotten a lot colder than where we was a few weeks ago. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving. If we don't get to talk to you guys before Thanksgiving, which it sounds like it'll be Friday, so have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Enjoy time. Eat a lot of turkey. Stay safe, and we'll see you guys next week. Take care and have a good night.